Yeah, asiyisebenzise. Yeah. One, two.
Dumelang batho ba bagolo, good morning. Goye Moore, sanibonani molweni. Can I check if people from the department are here? Gauteng Department of Human Settlement? You are here, including the person who's coming to present. Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, honorable members. Yes, I'm going to. Let me greet honorable members. Can we request the support team to share the translating devices? I don't know which language batho ba bagolo wants me to speak in. I'm very good in Setswana, Sepedi, Sesotho, and a bit of Xhosa. My Zulu and Xhosa are not as good, but sizozama ukuthi sikhulume wonke amalimi ukuthi sizwane, mara ngicela ukuthi wonke umuntu ola if you feel comfortable ukuthi wena ufuna ukukhuluma ngelimi lakho wenze njalo sizokuzwa ungasabi. Bese ngicela ama presenters wethu gore ba presente in a way that will accommodate the people that are here, the stakeholders that are here. I know you are capable. The translation devices, are they distributed? Can somebody just signal me? Okay, when they give it to you, Channel 1 is English, Channel 5 is Afrikaans, Channel 3 is Sepedi, Channel 2 is Zulu nesiXhosa, Channel 4 is Chivenda and Tonga. Please, who wants did you get them, Baholo? Lidi Grey? Emisa Mataho Balabatandi translation devices. Team, who is distributing? Why are you only doing it now? Who is Salalem 7 in the legislature? Okay, thank you very much. I think we are ready to start. I'm going to first, yeah, ke kgopela gore le keep matsogo a lena ntse a le up gore ba kgone ho le bona. As a legislature precinct, this is in terms of Rule 5.6, subsection 2 of the Standing Rules of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, version 5, revision 2, read together with section 2.1 and section 28 of the Powers Privilege of 2004. What does this mean? This means everything and anything that we do in this precinct will be done as if were in the Gauteng Provincial Legislature. So we're going to request that we start with the meeting. With me here, it's men and women who serve under the Gauteng Provincial Legislature's CoGTA and Human Settlement Portfolio Committee. My name is Honorable Kidiboni Diale Tlabela, the chair of the Portfolio Committee. I'm going to request my colleagues who sit in the Portfolio Committee to introduce themselves. I'm going to start with Honorable Ngube, and then we'll move in that fashion. Oh, I didn't see him. Oh, welcome, Member Dlamini. I didn't see you here. Really, have you been here? Okay. My apologies, my brother. We can start with you and then followed by Member Ngube.
Good morning, Dumelang Sanbonani. My name is Bonkosi Dlamini, a member of this committee.
Good morning, Dumelang. My name is Honorable Pinky Mncube, a member of this committee.
Morning, I'm a member of the committee and I'm Amanda De Lange. Thank you.
Morning, I'm Irvin Sarota, I'm a member of this committee.
Dumelang bagolo, Sodi Msimanga, member ya leloko la Human Settlement le CoGTA mo Gauteng.
Thabela, Vitshe ke Malesela Letaba, member of the Portfolio Committee. Thanks.
Morning, my name is Khomoso Tong. I'm a member of this committee.
Thank you very much, honorable members. We have one member who was with us. He's on his way. He just had a little problem with his car. Member Schneeman, he will join us soonest. We also have an apology from the MEC Lebkham Maile. Due to ill health, he cannot be with us today. Amongst us, I'm aware that there's councillors. Can we check if they are here? Oh, the ward councillors that are here, can they introduce themselves? Where is the mic? Councillors, Martha? Oh, there's one here.
Dumelang Sanbonani, the name is Prudence Hlanyani. I am the ward councillor of Ward 15, and which is where the venue is. So in my official capacity as the ward councillor, I'd like to officially welcome the Office of the Legislature to the House. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mayor Councillor.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Christopher Zita, a ward councillor of Ward 22.
Ra leboga. Go na le councillor e re sa e boneng? Are they only two? Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Ramoshada and Councillor Hlanyani. I know amongst us, Martha, we have the Department of Human Settlement in Gauteng. Can we have the leader of the delegation introduce himself and the team he's with?
Good morning, Chair, good morning, honorable members. Good morning. My name is Abdullah Ismail. I'm the Chief Financial Officer from Gauteng Human Settlements. I'll be leading the delegation here. As an apology from our HOD, she's attending an exco meeting and our MEC is ill right now, but we will represent the body.
Ke siye buile for what di chelete go Departmenteng ya Human Settlement. Leina la gagwe ke Mr. Abdullah. Ba bantsi ba lona ge le gore you are in business, you know him, ne? Thank you very much, Abdullah. I think he is the leader of the delegation. I'm going to check if we have any apologies. None. Amongst us, Nale member Paul Malema, Ungwala di exam, he has put in an apology. We also have member Dalton Adams. He is not in the country on official duty of the legislature. I'm told also amongst us, Renali Officer, Auditor General of South Africa. We are used to Nicole, and today who are we with? Bismillah, Muaz, where are you? Oh.
Good morning to members of the committee. Good morning, everyone. I'm here as an observer attending the Auditor General. Thanks.
Thank you very much. The people of Gauteng are familiar with Nicole. We hope that you are the one deployed to us, and we will be familiar with you as the communities here. Honorable members, the agenda and the program is what is before all of us. May I please observe a hand that moves for the adoption?
Chair, I move for adoption of the agenda in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any seconders? Member Msimang is moving for adoption. Any seconders? Member Ngube?
I second.
Thank you very much. Member Ngube is seconding. Can we move with our agenda? I know amongst the stakeholders we have the community of Olivenholt Bosch and the Centurion area. I know we also have abantu base Mzimhlophe, and we have the communities, different communities from the Val. And the department is here to make a presentation on their budget vote for 2022-2023, but also present to us, there's noise in the house. But also present to us and update us on various projects as identified by the program that you all have. Please note, we are going to restrict ourselves to the agenda items, but if you have any other question that you want to ask the department, you will be allowed to do so. However, you will pardon them if they don't have an answer, and then we'll take your answer as a portfolio committee. You will take your question as a portfolio committee to make sure that it is responded to. So re kgopela gore le be free, re kopa gore le be free go participate mo sessioning eno. If lena le dipotso tse le batlang go di botsisa Department of Human Settlement mo today, le dumeletse gore le ka di botsa. Mara he re ka kry-a le gore dipotsong tse le di botsisang, department ha e kgone ho di araba hona jwale. Rena re le portfolio committee. What's happening there? Really? Nkanyizo, you are the one who's making noise.
No, Chair,
Oh. You guys were supposed to be here early and sort it out. Tell members Niman is here. Okay, no, it's fine. Okay, I think they are making noise because they are not ready to service us as service providers. They made mistakes in connecting their wires, and now they can't record as they are recording wrong things. Please sort it out. We can't delay our meetings because of that. Ke ne ke sa tjho ke re, he department le ka tswa le ibotsisitse potso ya bothata le hore nga bana karabo ya yona gompieno, we will on your behalf make sure that you get the answers. So re kopa gore le be free go botsa dipotso. CFO o na le team ya banna le basadi ba on our behalf are making sure that rona re le batho ba Gauteng re kry-a di-services. So ke ka mokgwa re tlo conduct a meeting o go ya ka melao ya COVID. A ke re ba re sentse e le teng ebile e buile gape. We are supposed to not be more than 3 hours in this room. So by 1 o'clock we must be out. And then re kopa gore le phele le keepile di mask tsa lona on, and let's sure gore ga le tshelane ka bolwetse. I'm going to request that the team from Human Settlement take us through the presentation. Nkanyiso, are you fine now? You are okay? Okay, thank you very much. Who's presenting? Is it you? Okay.
Once again, a very good morning to honorable members, the chairperson, and members of the public. I'm going to give you a brief overview on the budget for the Gauteng Department of Human Settlements for the year 2022-23, so this financial year that we're operating in. As you know, as the Gauteng Department of Human Settlements, we're highly reliant on two conditional grants. The Human Settlements Development Grant, which is used for the building of RDPs, walk-ups, service stands, rapid land, etc., as well as bulk infrastructure, but a small portion. And then we have the new grant, which is called the ISUPG, the Informal Settlement Upgrade Partnership Grant. This is also a grant that comes from National Treasury, and it's specifically used for upgrading of the informal settlements and readjusting the outlook of the informal settlements. So if we can just move to the next slide, please. I don't know who's moving. Thank you. This is in terms of our summary of receipts. It's a very small amount. We don't really receive a lot of money. Or we don't receive a lot of revenue as a department. I think I'm just going to, Chair, if you'll allow me, I just want to get my laptop so I can just bring the presentation quite easier. Osipo, just bring your one. I'll use it off your one because it's already open. That way I can talk to the numbers so that you can understand what I'm talking to. Very clear there, so thanks. Thank you. Sorry about that. So in terms of our receipts, we're predicting around 6.3 million rand in terms of revenue. That's very little. It's predominantly what we'll earn on parking fees, tender documents for sale, small values, because we're not a revenue generating organization. Even though we're supposed to be charging rentals, unfortunately we don't do that, so we don't generate any revenue as a department. In terms of where's our spending and what the spending looks like, so I've broken it down into the 4 programs. We have administration. Administration obviously is the administrative arm of the department. What do we do there? We keep the finance team, the HR team, security, all of those administrative functions that manage the running of the department. Most of our salaries is also covered there, even though it's sitting at 692 million. Of that, 80% of that value goes towards compensation of employees because we house all the compensation there. Then we have the, you don't need to, I don't know who moved, just go back to that slide, please. Just go back one. Yes, then we have the housing needs, research and planning. That has 23 million for the year. This is your planning unit, your PRTs, your professional resource teams where they go out and they do the town planning, they do the town assessments, they do the geotech assessments, they do the EIAs, etc., and they prepare the package to see whether it's feasible for us to go and develop within a certain site, how much it will yield, numbers and everything. Then we have the housing development, which is our program 3. I don't know who's moving the slides. You're moving too fast. Can you wait till I tell you to move, please? The housing development, that's 5.3 billion. This is the bulk of where the funding sits. This is where the 2 conditional grants sit, and this is where we use all the funding for the development and for the growth of the department in the RDPs. And then we have housing asset management, which is 272 million. This unit, it deals with a lot of the flats and properties that are owned by the department. We have quite a number of flats. We have a number of hostels, 6 hostels that we manage. We have a lot of flats in and around the surrounding areas, and we need to maintain and upkeep this, and we also need to pay the rates and taxes as well as the municipal bills for this. So that budget is then subsequently used mostly for that. If we move to the next slide, this is our economic classification. What it means is how much money goes towards compensation, how much money goes towards the goods and services, how much money goes towards the development. So if you look at our compensation, that's 492 million. There's been no increase in our compensation. There's been a slight increase. The province has cut a lot of the compensation funding because they believe that we need to save funding because the fiscus are dry. Then we have the goods and services. This 544 million is made up of that maintenance I spoke about and about the rapid land, the purchase of land that we do, the title deeds and some earmarked allocation for URP, urban renewal programs, etc. Then we have the households. This is where the conditional grant, it sits under households. What it means, it's the building of the RDPs, the building of the walk-ups, and it sits as a transfer that we give out to the beneficiary. It's not an asset of the department. We have then very little money for capital assets. This is, like I said, where some of the rapid land money sits, and then small monies for machinery and equipment, which is your ICT equipment that we need to renew on an annual basis, laptops, computers. Then we have some software. Obviously, we have to pay for licensing, Microsoft licensing, etc., and then this sits under the software and the tangibles. So in total, that's our budget, which is 6.3 billion for the financial year. For us as human settlements. If we go to the next slide, this is just a summary of the equitable share, what it belongs to and who it belongs to. So next slide. If you look here, you'll see there's voted funds. The voted funds is obviously the money coming from the Gauteng Provincial Treasury. That's only 241 million, and that's predominantly for your leases, security, administration, running of the offices. And then we have earmarked allocation. The earmarked is specifically given to us from the Treasury. For example, we have title deeds under earmarked, we have municipal cost under earmarked, and we have urban renewal program under earmarked. That is specifically ring-fenced, and it can only be used for that. And that sits at around 192 million. Then we have a small 2.1 million for COVID. That's for sanitizing, for masks, for our beneficiary teams that go out, and ensuring that we, maintain that, but very small in comparison. Then we have transfers and subsidies. This is 254 million. What does this mean? We transfer funds to certain municipalities. There's within the HSDG grant, the Human Settlement Grant, there's an item called mining towns, for example. All of that money goes towards the mining towns in the West Rand. And what they use that is to assist with the bulk, with the sinkhole issues. There's big challenges with bulk, and it's costly bulk because of the dolomitic area. So there's a specific fund that sits under those transfers, but that money is gazetted and it goes to the municipality who then runs the program. Then we have, of course, the capital assets, which I spoke about, and I'm not going to repeat myself. Then if we go to the next slide and we look at what we have there, this is our cost drivers from an equitable share. As you can see, we don't use, most of our fund goes towards property payments. And then it says contractors, but this is predominantly our security services. So it's not a lot of money in comparison, given the size of the budget of the department and the size of the department. We spend funding on communication. Obviously, that's a key element, which is your airtime. It's increased also over the last 2 years. Because of COVID and we had to work remotely and we had to work more from a mobile perspective, that also increased the cost. But what we've done is we've reduced our cost for leases, and we've reduced the offices because of the space issue now. Property payments, that still remains high. It's 135 million in this bigger scheme of things, but that's predominantly paying for the assets of the department. And we have to do this because it hinders those municipalities, your local as well as your metros. Without them paying funds, we all read in the newspapers how much money is being owed by actual government departments to municipalities and to ESCOM. So we set aside a special allocation for that so that we make sure. Then of course we've got consultants, which is our professional resource teams. We have the audit fees, which is around 13 million. This is the fee that the Auditor General charges us for auditing our books on an annual basis. Then we have a small amount for security services, which is about 35 million, and then agency and outsourced services of 5.9. That's predominantly your outsourced services is the cloud services that we pay to CETA and those kind of small services that we carry as a department. But overall, from a cost containment, because these are cost containment elements, the department has maintained and reduced those cost containments drastically in comparison. In terms of our budget programs, obviously program 1, you can move to the next slide, please. Next one. In terms of program 1, as explained, this has 692 million, of which around 85 to 90% is just the compensation. Then we have, this is the economic classification, next slide. And you can see that from program 1, we've got compensation and we've got the goods and services, which is your earmarked allocations. It sits under here, and we allocate the funds accordingly for those programs, but very small in comparison to the outer programs. And obviously we want to keep that ratio where we have 20% for administration and 80% for the services and the business of the department, so that we deliver more services given the shoestring budget or the tight budget we sit with. If we go to the next slide, this is your housing needs, research and planning. As you can see, it's very minimal. It's only 23 million. If you go to the next slide, you'll see of that 23, 16 million of it just goes towards the compensation. So it pays for that. Professionals, remember we have to have these professionals, your architects, your engineers, your quantity surveyors, and all of those people. So that's why bulk of the funding goes towards the compensation. If we go to the next slide, that's our housing development. This is program 3. And this is where bulk of our funding sits, and you can see from here 5.3 billion, which is your 2 conditional grants, sit within this section. And those are the 3 units, the administration, the financial interventions. The financial interventions is more your FLISP and your related that's are linked to the mega projects. If we go to the next slide, that gives you a breakdown. Your compensation is 180 million. Predominantly this program holds most of our staff. That's your regions, your project managers, your program managers. They all sit within this section and they deal with the development. That's why bulk of the funding sits here. If you look at the transfers and subsidies, that's 4.5 billion. This is the grants. This is used for all of the development of RDPs, walk-ups, server sites. And then we have 585 million. That's the Rapid Land Release Program. I'm sure you've heard of it, where we are purchasing stands and we are allocating stands to beneficiaries who then can go and qualify for a bond and build a house for themselves on that stand. That's the program that was announced by both Premier and MEC. So we've allocated a budget for the purchase of rapid land release stands. Then we have the last program, which is program 4. This is your housing assets, management and properties. And one can see within that program, we have the sales and transfers of housing properties. So what we're doing as a department, we're looking at all of those properties like your flats that are not owned but are being used by individuals, by beneficiaries. They originally were supposed to purchase it 10 years ago with a payment plan, and unfortunately the beneficiary did not reach the stage. There's an outstanding amount which is minimal. So what we are doing, we are looking at offsetting that amount and transferring that asset to the beneficiary so that that asset then becomes theirs and they take full responsibility for it. We've also got 107 million that is for your housing maintenance. As you're aware, a lot of these assets are over 30 years old. There's consistent maintenance required, especially on your plumbing and electrical side. So we have a maintenance panel in place, and they are quick to respond on these emergencies within these properties. Next slide. This is just a breakdown. As you can see, compensation here is minimal, and predominantly most of the money goes towards the maintenance, the rates and taxes, and the servicing of assets that are owned and properties owned by the department. We can then move to the next. Thank you, Chair. That's the end of the presentation, a high-level review of the budget of the department. Thank you very much. The project, and subsequently, there's also huge delays in the delivery of such projects. So as a department, we are opting to service that and deliver on those sites ourselves instead of transferring the money to the municipalities. We are dealing with a number of issues where service providers are taking court and legal action against municipalities, for example, and then we are forced to intervene and assist the municipality with funding in order to now on delivering the services ourselves, including the bulk, because we have the ISUPG grant now, which allows us to use that money for bulk within our mega projects, because it deals with people moving, gazetting, and the challenge there. So as I explained, the fact that we are now drawing funding from our informal settlement grant and accessing it to the mega projects to pay for the bulk and to complete the bulk. If we pay for primary and secondary link in Western Area Borwa, that will unlock 1,000 houses immediately because the municipality has to date not been able to fund that. So we're taking that function over and we're dealing with it internally so that we can deal with the challenge, because we understand that the houses reach a stage, but they cannot be QA'd and delivered at 95% because there's no bulk infrastructure. But it still gets invaded and we want to avoid that at all costs. Chair, in terms of question 10, it speaks about current payments received in an amount of 144 million. Of which 35 million goes to compensation of employees for program. There's been a notable decrease within the funds of program 4 on compensation, and the question was that there will be no new appointments. Chair, there will be 14 in for the new appointments and for the staff within program 4. Are there no vacant positions to be filled? There are 19 vacant posts within the program, and we've attached the recruitment plan as an annexure in terms of how we will be filling those positions. Chair, then if you look at question 11, in terms of the departmental transfers to local government by category, we should provide a breakdown of the projects that will be implemented by reform in your. It is, for example, 1 and 3 Vitalton Village 1, Phase 1, water reservoir. So we've given the Mogale City those fundings. We've also given them funding for Brickville, but we've realized the challenges within the municipality on Brickville. Of Merafong, who's one of the performing municipalities, we've given them money for Corsex. We've given them money for the electricity, the roads, and the bulk water, and they've delivered on that. And then that is Merafong. In terms of Rand West, we've given them money for Dan Plume, Phase 1, which is your bulk. This is where we had to intervene and assist the municipality. We've given them for Western Mega, for the planning and services within Western Mega. A small amount of money for the Green Hills Every Village Mega project from a bulk perspective. And then we've given them some money for Pelsieville as well, and Montrose in terms of that. But there are challenges within Montrose. I'm sure members as well as the community is aware of the challenges within Montrose. We're planning to meet with the developers of Montrose and take a decision in terms of how do we move forward on this mega project, given the fact that it's appeared in the newspapers, not paying its service providers, it has not delivered on the bulk, and we need to find an intervention on this one, perhaps call in the guarantees and deliver on the project. In terms of further information provided by the municipalities, we've given the value of the budget. You can just move to that. I'm not going to go into detail. I spoke about the project, but it tells you that we've transferred to the tune 309 million to these three municipalities in order for them to deliver on those projects. In terms of question 13, the report shows that the department aims to, yes, Chair, we would like to do more than 55 if we can. But the biggest challenge we have with the formalization of townships is not the department, but it's the municipalities and the challenges within the municipalities in order for them to resolve the issues when it comes to the formalization of townships. That is one of the biggest hindering blocks we have as a department, because from our side we have the conveyancers, we have the panel of attorneys, we have them all on board, and it's only so far that they can go before it's hindered by the municipality and its internal processes when it comes to the formalization of townships. In terms of, we should explain what does the formalization and informal settlement speak of. So what happens then, you first amendment of the general plan, then you do the township establishment, then you opening of, and then you issue service certificates for water, sewer, roads, and stormwater, which is bulk, and then you issue of the title deeds. So that is, it sounds like it's simple and it's just a few steps, but just the start, for example, amendment of the general plan, for example, is quite a tedious and lengthy process for the municipality before it moves to the next level of establishing the township. There's years that have passed where townships have still not been established, as an example. Chair, that was the last question. I'll pause there for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CFO, for comprehensive responses. Honorable members, are there any follow-ups on the questions and the responses? Ma'am? Yes, in that order.
My follow-up stems from the presentation of the budget. Sum of amount of the funds is, does this money include the 55.9, noting that this department is supposed to be leading by the example, since the MEC doubles up as also be settling this debt? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I've got, and thanks very much for the presentations. I've got three questions of follow-ups that I'd really want to ask in relation to the response that have just been shared with us. Responses we're being told, and the indication is given, that there are not sufficient funds to fill the vacant posts. It also indicates that money will be found during the year, if I listened correctly. How sure are we that we will get that money, that we'll find those funds? If I'm not mistaken, in the previous financial year, there were also vacant posts. Perhaps we could get a sense, how far have we gone from the previous that are just being carried over? And I'm not raising this because as a criticism, it's more a concern, and one shares your concern as well from the department about the lack of funds. But I think the office has its planning, so it's through its annual APPs, etc. If these posts are not filled, what impact is that going to have on the ability of the department to be able to? The second question I want to ask is around the issue of hostels. So narrow response, if I could call it that, because what sense as to what work is going to be done in this financial year? Because it would not help just to say to us, what is the specific work? Which hostels are going to be focused on? What's planned, etc. Because we also need to monitor as the committee? So that's my second question. And then the last question that I have, there was a long list of informal settlements in the various regions. Can we get just a sense of who's doing it? Is it the department themselves, or is it being cascaded down to the municipalities, to all those informal settlements listed? So that's really my questions. Why I'm asking, is it going to be, it's not we, the department has planned, will we be able to achieve that? Particularly given the vacant positions and the lack of human resource that you've spoken about. Thanks, Chair.
Chair, thank you very much. I also want to just touch on question 1. And I think it's very similar to what Member Sherman has just raised. For how long has the vacancies been, and how does the department intend to fill the vacancies with an inadequate budget? Now, you say you're going to raise the money from somewhere else, but I mean, money does not grow on trees, what we budget for. And if we have to raise money from somewhere else, it means we're taking money away from something else. Which is not good business practice, including the filling of those positions. Does it mean if we're going to get the money from somewhere else that we're not going to give any bonuses and increases, because maybe then we can afford to fill some of the positions? Yes, that's the main thing, is where is the fiscal shortcoming going to be sourced from? And I think that's a very serious question, because we need to know what we plan for. We can't just blunder into something and then later on make a plan. Of Mogale City, called Brickvale, does not feature anywhere, nowhere. And I keep asking the question about Brickvale. The Brickvale development, and I'm saying it here because we're on record, the Brickvale development is an illegal development. It is an illegal development. The processes, municipal processes, were never followed. I have written numerous letters about that, and I'm warning again here, like I did to MEC Mahile and his predecessor, MEC Moilua. I warned them about the danger. And it's not their danger. The danger is to the people who's going to live there. It's a dolomitic area, and it was an old brick, as the law say. And they started to build. The people are at risk for a total human disaster. I'm saying it, and I'm repeating it here. That is also the property with a value of 2.1 million. And that 2.1 is clearly a huge irregularity in terms of that. Also, we can't get any answers about that. Yeah, and then just how, I think that's it for now. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, there's a fundamental question we need to answer here. And maybe CFO in your Treasury Department, you will also begin to answer that question for us. Why are we paying bonuses for non-performance? Why we keep paying people bonuses? Bonuses are supposed to be paid when people are performing. But we keep paying. In fact, it's a shame that you're not filling vacancies. You say you don't have money, but you have money to pay for bonuses while people spend most of the time at home. I mean, we had a lot of, in the previous 2 years, most people were home than they were at work, but were able to pay bonuses. That for me is a worrying thing. And in fact, if you look at the previous quarters, almost all the indicators, the people haven't been able to meet their targets. So why are we paying bonuses? Bonuses should be linked to performance. You should be paid because you're still going to get my money. And I want to link this to what Member Snyman was saying. To say, what is it that You know, I think we need to rethink and re-energize how we manage performance. What does a success look like? What does success look like? When we say we have done well for our people, what does it look like? Have we formalized informal settlements? Have we fixed the hostels that we say we want to fix? What do they look like after that? And then are we able to then say, those that are getting those bonuses deserve them or they don't deserve them? Because it's a worrying thing that every year you will be told there's less money to do the actual work, but there's more money to be paying salaries and bonuses. And in fact, you then find that they begin to then answer some of these things. And I don't think that we will ever get government to function the way it's supposed to be functioning if we're going to continue with this trajectory of its free fall. And I want to stress this issue that Schneeman was raising, Honorable Schneeman is raising, to then say perhaps what we need to be told is to not say we will upgrade an informal settlement, we will upgrade. So if you are saying I'm going to upgrade a hostel, in a year's time, what should we go back and look for? Or in 6 months, what should we go back and look for? Because we are told money spent. I mean, we have gone to a number of hostels, and Tate Dlamini will know. We are told 100 million is spent there. And we are seeing the trend, is continuing to say we are budgeting to spend money there, but we don't know what is it that we're going to be looking for. If I tell you about Brick Valley, that bulk infrastructure there, those houses cannot be occupied. Is that a sense of success? Is that how we measure success? Now you're going to have people occupying toilets that they cannot, houses that they cannot even use the toilets to. If they don't occupy those houses, the next thing those houses get invaded. Illegal people get into those houses. And then you are back to square one. You spend money, the people that are supposed to be beneficiaries are not the beneficiaries of the same houses. And then you have to then start rebuilding again. Is that what we call success? Is that what people are getting bonuses for? Then holding people to account. I've spoken about contract management before. Contract management is part of the problem that we're sitting with here. To say that people are paying over money to contractors who don't then deliver at the end of the day. Then it's government's responsibility afterwards to go and fix the problems that the contractors have left on the ground, which means that there is even less money that can actually then be employed to then. The issue of what do we pay bonuses for? Is it linked to performance management? The second issue is, what are the projects that we are going to be embarking on, and what do success in those projects look like? The third thing that we're going to be talking to is the issue of contract management, because that is also something that is failing government very, very, very much, and we need to address these issues going forward. Thank you very much.
Okay. Member Ledoux.
Thanks,
I don't know how
Chair.
hold on, Member Ledoux. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but translation there, it's very interesting, but yeah.
Chair,
That's a
thanks.
job. Honorable members, I plead that you also try to accommodate the members of the community. If you can try to also speak in your languages.
Chair, let me welcome the presentation and the responses from the. One is around the incomplete projects. Not only incomplete projects, Chair, but abandoned projects, like your mega projects. There is no mention of it at all, what is going to happen there. Your Palm Ridge Extension 10 and 12, your Lufering. At least there was a mention of Montrose, even though I don't get a sense exactly what is it that they're going to do. Because year in, year out, they pump in money there, but nothing is happening. I said incomplete and abandoned project. Chair, I must indicate that there is a new trend. I do not know whether officials are involved or flats. Just at some point in time, they abandoned the whole project. And I think they are responsible for that needs to be investigated. In all the projects that I have mentioned, whether it's Palm Ridge Extension 10 and occupied, but you can see that they are welcoming people to go and occupy. Borwa is currently occupied. I'm not sure whether the officials are part of the syndicate. And what is the motive around that, and what is it that they're doing to ensure that that is stopped? Interim support services to informal settlement. Informal, we've got few that I mentioned from the question around, and to say, you did commit that you are going to redevelop Kariso, Jabulani, and Ritabil. Instead of answering us to say, no, you did not do it, you did not meet your deadline, or whatever that you intend to do, you then respond by talking about something else. Whilst the commitments were clear, Kariso, Ritabil, and Jabulani. I do not know how you got to involve Orlando West there. Now you are no longer talking about Kariso. You are talking about something else. I find that very commitment. It should be a fair response without out of order, Chair. Maybe yeah, it's the right platform. The HDA.
How much has to look at redundancies? And one needs to look, as bad as COVID was, it also opened our eyes up to how remotely one can work and how much resources are needed in order to deliver on certain elements. And that is what the IDMS structure that DDG Pulang is working with and see how we can fill. But we will fill what we can in terms of key positions in order to deliver on our structure, and we can see how we do that. So we're not like compensation. Chair, in terms of the issue of Brickville, unfortunately, it's also for the first time I'm hearing about the issue that it's illegal in terms of the development. I would request that I then take this back to the principals, gather the necessary information, as well as seek the information from the municipality as well, and perhaps then present a response accordingly to the portfolio committee around the Brickville, because I don't have an answer right now. I'm led to believe to be paid 64 million. Unfortunately, that is unacceptable, and we will not accept such. So we will investigate and look into that. And if we have some response, we'll certainly share this accordingly with the portfolio committee, and we'll certainly look into that. Unfortunately, in contact with the current hostel leadership, hence they could not attend. So I would not want to respond with regards to what exactly was being done and has been done and will be done on the hostels. I request that the parliamentary liaison officer here prepare a question or a D committee and answer all of those questions. What happened to Kagiso and what was done there and why is it not there any longer? What exactly is the total budget going to be spent on? What was last year's budget exactly spent on? And what is tangible? What have you delivered on so that they can present it accordingly to the portfolio committee? So I'd not like to respond to that because I might not answer them correctly. I don't disagree with Member Musimang's issue around performance bonuses. It's a big battle. I can tell you now, because they come to work and deliver what they should be paid to do. That's actually a 3 for me. What I can say, Chair, is that DPSA has put in, I think 5 years ago they started that, where they out last year that there'll be performance bonuses in government. It will no longer be going forward from there. And in this year, it's only 0.75 or 0.25 of your total compensation that can be used. This was very low-level staff that outperformed on some of the functions. They were the actual ones that were more on the road during the lockdown. No senior manager or no middle manager received a performance bonus. I was very sure of fighting that battle myself to say that, prove to me you deserve a 4. So I'm not the performance bonus ever in government, but I don't work to receive a performance bonus. I do agree with you when it comes to contract management. We've put certainly new systems and rules in place now. When we allocate a project to any contractor, the project, the award letter is very clear. You need to sign this. Without the performance guarantee, you nullify your award in essence. And that has now come into play because what we do now is that if they run away from the project or if they move away from the project, we have the performance guarantee which they service, which we kick in order to complete what they've not done. We've also set different rules. Previously, they used to take it up to wall plate and it's to pay around 80% of the funding. That's why they used to run away. We've reduced that now. We pay you up to wall plate, but it's close to 45%. When you reach roof level, And when you put a geyser, then only do you get 95%. So you're forced to finish the project. Otherwise, you are suffering and incurring a loss. Over and above that, you have the performance guarantee, and quarterly, monthly, you need to report. Managers need to give the contract unit a performance, contractor evaluation sheet on a monthly basis, which is filed, and we use that to see who is not performing and what is not happening. We're very tough right now, Chair. I've taken a hard stance. Service providers, for example, that receive an allocation on a maintenance and then fail to go. I issued them a letter to say, tell me why I shouldn't remove you from my panel for your failure. This way, it gets them thinking that we're not going to take it lying down any longer. You will deliver what you said to deliver, or you're going to leave our panel and we're going to work with people that can deliver. And that is what is happening right now. You'll notice a lot of service providers crying to maybe the portfolio committee, but they're not telling you the truth of how we're dealing with them as well. I think in terms of the support services on informal settlements, that you're not picking it up, especially in the metros. Chair, the metros receive a USDG grant as well, and they have accessibility to address informal settlements within that grant. We predominantly focus on the local municipalities who are really suffering when it comes to servicing the informal settlements. For an example, as the province, we are servicing all of the chemical toilets and sanitation services in these informal settlements because these municipalities just can't do it. It's a human right thing, and we can't just say it's your problem, we're going to leave it with you. So we intervene and we assist when it comes to those issues. What exactly are we doing with the funding and in informal settlements? Chair, we're looking, the GPF called for expression of interest in terms of sanitation services outside of bulk infrastructure. So we're looking at plants that can be dug underground, but can accommodate an informal settlement rather than having, for example, chemical toilets that needs to be serviced, but also not necessarily very hygienic. So those interventions are also what we're trying to bring forward. We've allocated all the informal settlements with PRTs, professional resource teams that have done a lot of the bulk planning work that is needed for these informal settlements. And these plans are now coming into play from a funding perspective through the ISUPG, where we starting to lay down, especially on the water issues, water tanks, and some of the bulk that can be done, that can be done. Excuse me. The biggest challenge here in where most of your informal settlements are is the lack of bulk. If we take the entire mile in the west area, bulk is a huge problem. It's a huge challenge here, and as a national government, when they reach that and address the bulk issue, it will become easier then for us to intervene. So we need to find solutions around that, outside of dependencies of the municipalities' bulk as well as the national bulk. And those are some of the interventions in Merafong. I'm not aware of funding going to the HTA in relation to the sinkholes. I know that we work with CoGTA and we look at the emergency fund under the HSDG to address some of the sinkholes that come to play. Because what happens is the sinkholes was declared a disaster by the province, and subsequently under that disaster act they are able to access a certain amount of funding. I know that when the sinkholes became a big challenge between National Treasury, Provincial Treasury and CoGTA, they made close to R500 million towards these municipalities in order for them to deal and address some of the sinkhole challenges with the committee. Thank you, Chair. I'll pause there for now.
Other additions from the team? There's this thing called consequence management. Is it just a term or something doable? We hear of consequence management. Is it just a term or something that can be done? It's a term to make our reports look beautiful. Because really we don't understand, for why would an this day and age, after that term has been coined, no one implements it. Development program. Is associated with non-performance. And that's the view we have as a committee. We might be wrong because maybe we don't understand what is performance. And what is consequence. We are concerned that there's non-performance, but there's nothing that the department is doing. It's either the department accepts anyone accountable for non-performance. I once said we want to see faces of project managers of incomplete, not allocated, so that we see people's faces, because we continue to see your face, CFO, but the truth of the matter is you are not on the ground. Somebody is. This is your score sheet, you scored 0, therefore you don't qualify to be even getting a salary, because we are not doing anything. The perception is, this is one of the members one day said, let's move on. But it's cold here. So I'm just saying that we need DDG corporate services. Let's just clean man to do. There's parks to manage, you know. Little already park, they will leave the grasses and not cut them. But this is the center of service delivery in Gauteng. And we require dedicated of. We are serious about hostel redevelopment. We've been getting one response, or we've been made to move round in circles. And in this financial year, we are not prepared to do a merry-go-round. To not only councillors and communities here, I wanted to suggest that we get the 2 presentations and then get the questions. But if you want to ask questions on the budget, relevant to the presentation, at the back, but I'm going to give you an opportunity. Let's start at the back there, and then number 2 with a blue mask. Yeah, yourself with. Oh, well, no, yes. Yes, in a red, yes, no come as como black. Yes, number 6, get top black, and then number 7, make a momoraho haha, got to yellow, maroon, number 9, Kifedi 2 minutes each, and then Kitakamo, number 1, Kamisomu Gray, number 2, Kapampir Molitoho, number 3, Kamaskomo Black, number 4, Tope Gray, Lemisia, number 5, number 6, number 7. 2 minutes to your point. This is the first time I see communities interested in a budget vote, Abdullah. In that order, I can fill the numbers alone. 2 minutes, straight to the point, in your own language if you feel comfortable. The team is diverse, so don't worry. Lina Lesefani, which community are you coming from? Lona ba le nang le dinamba ba bang ba ka tumela mo gore re save nako. Fela matjato fela unless o le nkgono o le ntate mogolo a gore o re tswe te mogolo ka gore o re tswe bomme le bontate mogolo bona ba ka itunnahatse. Okay, number 1.
Ka lebitso ke Modise Motholo ke tswa ka Emfolele Ward 21 Sebei Motshweneng. Potso tsa ka di pedi di tharo fela sengata. Ke batla ho botsa hore ka lebaka la eng ha human settlement e dula ntse e tla mehla ka mehla le mehla o etsuwa budget mara o sena tswele pele ha o qeta ho etsuwa budget hana jwale matlo a teng batho ha ba kene ka matlong ya ka o latelana ha hore na mang o approve pele o mang batho ba ikenya ka matlong. So ke batla ho tseba hore na hobaneng ha ntse re tla mona re bua ka budget empa e sa re thuse rona di communities fatshe. Ha ke bua ana jwale hona le batho ba ka fetang 1.2 million ka ra Gauteng province ba emetseng matlo ba le approved. So why every year you make a budget and everything then but e be sa re thuse ka letho. So ke kopa hore human settlement ke le re thuse moo and a lady minister ha re bua le tsona di MMCs and everything ha ba kgone re thusa. Hana jwale office ya ntate Kholeni mane ha e sa le re mo fa memorandum a re ntse ko sheba ke kgwedi tse 6 ntse o sheba o mong kwa 2020.
Thank you. Verskoning van die Afrikaanse tolke, ons kry nie tolking nie.
Greetings, my name is Harry Maleka
Can I lay the questions, see few and some inputs, but let me first welcome the presentation by the department, and we are very worried that this very important department, there are some elements of incompetence which are very seen, and it's very, very unfortunate because at some stages a scapegoat is being made to certain organizations to say an organization is corrupt. Just because certain officials are not representing them, the communities are pointing a finger to certain organizations. First of all, it's very important that we are consulted today on a budget vote presentation. A consultative process is being made when outcomes are being presented to the departments. There is no feedback mechanism to communities. In future, we also need a feedback mechanism from your department to say that you have been given a qualified audit outcome, so that we can be able to dissect a report, to ask you as to why are you a certain bad report, annual audit report. It's very, very important. I think also the SCOPA must shape up the department to do their work. We are very, very critical because they are relating to our service delivery. We are going to get funds from where or where. It just looks like nothing has been planned. And it's very, very sad. We are calling for these vacancies to be filled up in this financial year. Whether how are you going to get funds, but you must be able to fill up those positions. Another thing of the projects, outstanding, some of the projects are not even completed. Yes, you have presented a plan and also a technique of how are you going to handle matters in this current financial year end. But what are you going to do with those outstanding projects which have not even been completed? Thank you very much.
2 minutes, next one.
Dumelang. Ka lebitso ke Fepo, Filimon Tsotetse, ke tswa Heidelberg. Ke na le bothata ka batho ba aelang matlo. Hobane matlo a rona a ya wa. Nna ke fumane motho ka ntlo ka mora lemo tse pedi ke tswa Mokhukhung. Jwanong matlo a rona se ka hona le moya tje. A patsohile, di-tiles di tlohile hodimo, di-geyser di sebetse, dipompa di sebetse. Batho ba ba fuwang mosebetsi a ba qete mosebetsi. Ene ha re lo tletleba masepaleng ho thwe ba re file matlo re batlang. Jwale ke a kopa mmuso o fe batho ba neng ba ba kgona hore ba phethise mesebetsi ya bona. Ba re etsetse matlo e baneng a lokile. Matlo a rona ha ba a phepa kwa hobane ha ona le moya tje dipula di yana hona jwale re kena tlasa dibethe ha ona le moya. Nna ke bua tje makhelwane wa ka ntlo ya hae e hamporowa le ya ka di tiles di ya wa hodimo ke isa e sebetse ke a kopa le mamati ha wantle ha hola re dula ka matswalo mo Littleburg ene matlo a re na le motse pedi fela re keta ho kena mo Littleburg.
Ra leboga ntate ke project ya ko Watchmark.
Ka fella mo ke a kopa mmuso o fe batho ba bana ba tla kgona re lokisetsa matlo a rona hore a loko bane a re kenela metsi menyako ha ona ntho e lokileng tje matlong a le a rona qalong a tle qetelong a kena metsi mamating le mmiri mo a kena metsi re a kopa dula matlong a lokileng ke a leboha.
Ntate, before you leave, tell us the ward where you come. Before you leave, tell us the ward where you come. Ntate o tswa le kae?
Ke tswa Heidelberg Rathanda.
La mo tseba ntate o? O tswa kae? Lesedi?
E Gauteng. Ke Sedibeng.
Ra leboga ntate o ka dula fatshe bo mme ba o arabetse. Ha ke re batla go tla go tlo checka. A re o mongwe 2 minutes tshwana le bo ntate mme.
Dumelang. Nna ke Nozika Ngoya ke tswa Mfuleni municipality. Ke tswa Bophelo. Ho le fapha le nana la tsa matlo. Ke batla ho botsa hore ha ba dula ba thola di budget selemo le selemo ba fumana tjhelete and then ba sa follow hore tjhelete ena e sebetsa jwang. Ho thusang hore ba nne ba fumane tjhelete ya ho haha matlo mara ba sa latelle hore ba sa etse di follow up hore matlo ao a haua kapo ho fella kae ka ona ba dutse di officing ha ba latelle mesebetsi ya bona ho senyehile ka ntle ka mona na matlo a setse a le di half ho setse fela matlo a sa qetuwang because ba dutse di officing ha ba follow budget e ba e fuweng ke waste of time. Hona jwale sa le ho thwe batho ba dule mona ho inona ha se batho ba tswang ka di backroomong ha se di backroom dwellers batho bao ke bana ba batho ba dutseng ka teng. Ne re kopa hore department ya housing re kopa assembly for le etse hore le follow ba mosebetsi wa lona re nana hore le monsena na se le qadile he le tla etsa re bona di phethonyana ka re di tla ba teng. Re kopa hore motho a sebetsang ka Mfuleni ka tsa matlo a shebe hore na mosebetsi o wa fella wa Mfuleni ha sebetsa Rathanda a shebe hore wa Lesedi mosebetsi o wa felella. Batho ba hloka matlo batho ba dutse ha bohloko ka dijareteng tsa batho batho ba na matlo ne re kopa hore le follow mosebetsi wa lona se believe le skala senya tjhelete.
There's a balanced view. You are doing work, but please follow up. Department A has a Department of Housing. Ki Department of Human Settlement. Bale ropa balinkela di chelete bansi bare housing. Gauteng mona ha ona Department of Housing. Ra utlwana ba khona. Re tshware bona di advert di netse Department of Housing. Those are fake. Liska reka di tene ho batho rona re le government a re rekisi. Lintlu ya RDP a re rekisi assembly. Arrêtez, 2 minutes.
Okay. Thanks, Mema Diale. Meshak Mtibedi from Polokong. We are grateful indeed for the human settlement has housing us. However, at times it has been reversed. There is absolutely no communication amongst the directorate within the human settlement. There was a rampant type of corruption in the area called Johandio. It is for that reason there was a company which was contracted by the human settlement to do auditing, housing auditing. and more than 468,000 rand was paid to that contract. Here is the report. We've got that report. But the human settlement, especially the legal directorate, does not communicate with other human settlement directorate. As we speak, we have almost 17 people who have received eviction orders from the legal aid. But every government department within the human settlement, as and when we said, but now we have this type of a report in which the applicant is there. Some officials will say, but now we are not aware of this report. And I take it, but now how does the department pay more than 500,000? Yet it doesn't take the ownership of this report. We have a lady amongst ourselves, we've been given 30 days to vacate the house. And we all know, so there is a problem, Honorable. The second thing is around stamping out authority. Chairperson, Zone 28, it has been built, very nice houses, but the government does not take ownership. Very nice houses, but the government does not take ownership. And I'm sorry to say this, mostly members of the EFF are occupying those houses illegally, so to speak. And it's unfortunate, indeed. But lastly, I want also to check issue the budget, your budget, particularly in Citibank. I want the CFO to tell us in Citibank how much has been spent or how much will be spent for 2022-2023 budget, specifically for Citibank. Thank you so much.
Over to you, Mama.
Okay. Lebitso la ka ke Khoni Moslantsha Mahlangu. E sale ke ngodisa ntlo ka di 5 tsa February 1999. Ha ke so thole ntlo. Ha ke na tshepiso. Mo ke yang ha ke thole thuso. Ke kopa le nthuseng. Ke na le sick e bohloko. Ke no dipidisi tsa mahladi. Empa ke tshwere ke hlooho. Ke kopa le nthuseng batswadi ba ho dula hae o tswalwe mono o bo tlo shwella mono o sa duli ha hao. Ke kopa le nthuseng. Ke skebe ka tsomona ke sa thola ntlo ya. Bana ba bangata ba thotse matlo. Bana ba bangata ba thotse matlo. Rona ba 1999 ha re so thole matlo ho fihlela le ka jeno. Mmuso wa ka o yetse hobane rona certificate bana ba rona ha ba sebetse. Le hlokomeleng dintho tseno bana ba bangata ba tsuba nyaope ba tsuba crystal ka baka la hore bana le certificate empa mmuso ha o re next ka bo ke a leboha.
Sipho ke kopa re kry di details tsa mama. Mama, did you bring C form ya hao? Oh. Is the team here? If we were in Ikuruleni, there will be a Mazibuko girl that will go with her computer there and just enter the things and check and give us the status of the old woman. Oh, okay. Well, there's Mazibukoism in the department of Ikuruleni. Thank you very much, team. So, holuru na lebo tata ba tshwana le mme ska tlo bua bana gona le ntate ke ole re tlo mo kopa itune ko mora silently le ikele ko yena lo checka status salon. Over to you, mme.
Sanibonani. Igama uSimangele wakwaMotha. Ngibuya eOliver Note Bosch. Ward 106. But ngizokhulumela ama-ward ayi-2 ne-77. Okokuqala bengicela ukubuza i-CFO ukuthi why iTshwane ingekho ku-budget. Whereas Sine Mamilo, Oliver Note itself in a informal settlement, I2. Imamilodi in a informal settlement, amaning. I-Atteridgeville ngazibala ziningi ezinama informal settlements. Sengicela ukwazi ku CFO ukuthi why ithwani ingafakwanga ukuthi budget ya this time. Another question ngicela ukwazi ukuthi as by department, Oliver we have sinama kwakhiwe ama extension I2, extension 27 eku invadilwe kuyo. The extension 36, abantu ba invaded. The extension 27 was given to Igamont, whereas Iport Beitifune Bake izindlu for a year, 1,600 houses for a year, but they took 5 years to build those houses. But they never built 1,600. They built only 1,000 houses. Yizo lezindlu abantu baz invade kuzo. Abanikazi bezindlu they are outside. No follow-ups from the government, from the department. Sikijimama office wonke, but asiltholi usizo. Then abantu babona ukuthi people bahleli lapha for 4 years. Ku extension 27. There's a project in extension 36.
Mama wasethwana. Kune presentation lana ikhuluma ngezinto lezi le ufuna ukukhuluma ngazo. Sicela ukuthi sithole ipresentation uzokuza imibuzo.
Okay.
Bazo presenta ngethwayo.
All right.
Is it Oliver nangisho?
Yes.
Yes, sicela uhlale phansi bazo presenta bese sibuza imibuzo after.
Oliver.
It's already in the program.
All right. Okay.
Ngiyabonga. Wonke umuntu ofuna ukubuza imibuzo on Mzimhlophe ne Oliver unfinished projects and invaded project, please sit down, don't ask questions. We are having presentation now.
Dumela Matswadi. Ke Phelo Lekgwaba go tswa Bophelong Ward 6. Ke na le potso tse pedi fela tse ke kopang go tlo di botsa haholo jwang ke mabapi le Ward 6. It seems like rona re le ka Ward 6 ra tlhekefetswa because hona le squatter campuses se bitswang CoGTA ka Ward 7. So squatter campus no se tlositswe ka Ward 6 ka Ward 7 sa fitla sa occupy space se neng se setse ka ho rona ka Ward 6. So now ke kopa ho tseba hore na sona space sa ne se go tloswa batho go sona sa CoGTA se tletse hape mo ene ke nahana hore ha ona ho tloswa mo hona le company ene hiruwe go tlosa batho ka mo go ba isa ka Ward 6. So ke batla go tseba hore na e le hore ka mona ene e le tsela ya hore na ho jowe tšhelete ya masepala kapa ene le tsela hore ntse because one ho no tloswa batho ka mo ba re ba iswa ka tsela engwe ho theke ba dula mo ka mo ke ka main road ba di step ka main road but still ho occupied hape already mo ne ke kopa ho botsa rena there was no tsela engwe ya hore ene ka sebediswa hore e re ha o tloswa batho plekeng e o ba isa plekeng engwe hona le something e ba ne o sontwe plane already once o tlosa motho hona le something engwe e batsa e etsahala mo e bang active because o tlosa motho ka ho sa hona le motho mo a khutleng mo a kwetse space ke kopa be re le shebe le ene hobane ke engwe ya tsela ke nana hore nna ke re ke shebile ke tsela engwe ya o user di facilities ama e lokiswe le ene ke shebe ke kopa le karabo ka hore rena ho hetsahalang ka mo hore na space se se etshalang ka mono ne batho ba bo ka bone ba tlosetswa eng ka mo hobane bo tlositswe batho ka mono hape batho ba se ba tlositswe ka mo so occupied hape space seo so re kopa ho tseba hore na e le hore ho hetsahalang hantle mo ke a leboha.
Ward 6 e ho kae? Bophelong le City Efuleni.
Efuleni.
Okay. Bakai ba masipala wa Efuleni. Is the administrators here? What's ba masipala o? Ke ba tlotlo dula ko ona. Ntate.
Tumela ke Slovo Sithetho ke tswa ka Bophelong Ward 7 ka extension 15. Ke tlo ba mokhutswana haholo taba tsa ka ha di ngata ntho ene ke kopa ho tlo botsa ka yona hantle ke a bona ho bua ka di figures tse ngata tse hlamane tse re confusing bile rona re le baahi ntho e baahi ba batlang ho tseba gore na dintlo di tlo tla neneng Ka jeno lena ha ne re tla mona re kgethuwe re tlo mamedisa community re sileng hae. Ha re ka tla ka tlo bua ka di million tse ntse re di bona di ngotswe moo, ha ke kgole ba ka re tloela. Jwale ntho e re leng bohloko ka yona ke ditjhelete tse buang ka tsona, empa tse re leng sure di fella boyeng jwale ka mofufutso wa ntja. Ha ene le hore department ena e leng ya human settlement e etsa mosebetsi wa yona ka boqhetseke, ke kgolwa hore nka bo sena di demands tsa batho ba nang le di C forms tse ba reng e sale ba di ngodisa ka 99 e ska ha mme a qeta ho tjho, le ba ngodisitseng ka bo 96 ka bo 94. Jwale ka bokgutswanyane ne re kopa hore consequence management ha e etse mosebetsi wa yona, ha batho ba tlohele ho fuwa ditjhelete tse ba sa di deserving. Ke la ka utlwa mme o mong mona hara di bui tse buileng a re ha batle hore a re consequence e tebele batho. But if you are not performing, tlamehile ntho di pedi o ya tjhankaneng kapa mosebetsi o fele. Ntho e re hlokang haholo mona re le baahi be leng hore re bile le mamello e telele ke matlo. Matlo ha re tsebe rona ka mane ka bophelong ka Movango e sala qetela ho ahwa ke ntate Nelson Mandela. From that time until now ha hona ntho e etsahalang, ha hona nko tswa le mina. Ka mantswe a makgutshwane ke a leboha.
Nna ke Oupa Mlanyeni ke hlaha Polokong Johandio Ward 25. As I saw from bana le di question tse serious against human settlement. So ne ke batla ho tseba as portfolio committee in terms of the law, what power do you have? Question ya bobedi, ke hlaha Ward 25 fees ka ha ke se ke buile. Re promisitswe hore a ke tsebe ke ne ke batla verification hore Ward 25 ho tlo ahwa matlo a 14,000. So ne ke batla ho tseba re ka thola answera from
Hello everyone. Ketabo Ndovo from Ward 22 in Tsepiso under CDB, Mfuleni. Hey CFO, I feel so terrible and terrified at the same time. You're talking about big numbers, big graphics of monies. You are paid for performing. If you are not performing, you are degraded or you are demolished. Even if you don't perform, you still get paid. It's so disgusting. Can we relook? Can we visit and sit down and discipline our staff members? Because really we cannot stand this. It's been so much. People are crying outside. Every time people are crying. But people are getting paid for not performing. Know what is good for you. Discipline your members. Failing to do so, this is what constitutes to people to go on strike, picketing and doing, never picket. But we told ourselves, no, it's our people, they will vote even if they don't get nothing. It's high time now. That is why you see most communities are attending these things. They are no longer standing back at the end. Because we want to see the future for our kids, that we are here. If we can just take a look outside here, the place is full of grass, but there are people who are coming in and out every day here. You take us for a ride. If you say we start at 10 o'clock, prepare everything on time. 10 o'clock we start. There's no excuses. If we want to do the right thing, please, 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 we're begging you. Can you do the right thing without being pushed around? And the other thing that needs to be done, the auditor team and the members of the site, if there's a project, can't you go correlation to check if the place, where they said they've builded the house. The house are builded, and the numbers that they said they've builded the house is exactly the number now. And the infrastructure, you cannot just build a house on a surface that is not being checked. Even the cryotic report, you don't get it whether the soil is a muddy soil or it's a right soil for building the houses. After 10 years, the house started to crack.
30 seconds.
Guys, that is not good, please. We are begging you today, as you have called us to come, to give you an input. Go and sit down with your team. Come with a right strategy. Thank you.
Ra leboha ntate.
Sanibonani.
Sawubona baba, 2
Siyabonga,
minutes.
Chairman, Chairperson for isithembiso sakho ukuthi uzoyiletha i-department ebantwini njengoba uthembisile, siyabonga. Ngibongani kaMthembu esibukeni. So umbuzo wami oqala ukuthi I wish to understand, because according to the budget you also there is this appearance of needs register a budget. So in that needs register budget, according to my understanding, you are dealing with how people who are registering and you assist that process. But where I come from, we have lots of cases of people that been approved, but they've been applied long ago. That's one. Two, the issue of the title deeds, particularly the project that have already finished and unfinished, but people are staying there, but title deeds are not yet been delivered. Even though the MEC, Comrade Labs has promised to do that this year for all those projects. Then le unfinished contractors ngicabanga ukuthi ngizoyibuza after a presentation yakhona. Then eyokugcina this, there's this no, I think that one comes with another contractor.
Yayibambe.
Yeah, no, ngiyabonga, Chairman.
Singabanye ithuba. Siyabonga bhuti wethu. Kanti kuse Masa ene open.
Dumela matswadi. Na ka lebitso ke Nteng Makume, ke tswa Zone 21 Extension West Side Park. Ke ntse ke shebile taba tsa budget mo taba ka holo to totobala tabeng ya di-transfer. Ke ile ka thola ntlo ka 1997. So ka mora lemonyana tse pedi ka thola hore matlo ao a ngodisitswe ka batho ba bang. So developer e la try ho tlatsisa difomo for change of ownership, but nothing happened. Ho latla commissioner his commission after company by liquidate. Nothing happened. What the favors commission? Le bona ba tlatsisa difomo for change of ownership. Ha ona se etsahetse. Re ile ra approach officer public hello ba hlalosetsa bothata bo ba rona bo, because now re na le almost 25 years re dula matlong ao antse a sa bitse mabitso a rona. So hore bothata ke eng ba re thuse a re tsebe ho etsala. So ke thabetse ha mona committee e tlile ke a kgola e tla re thusa le hore o tlo re bothata ba department e ska re thusa ke eng go ba tsela nako e telele.
Ntate ke kae e ko kae le dula kae?
Ke Zone 21 West Side Park Sebokeng. What 30?
What 30? Where is the regional manager of this area?
Good people, my name is Matau from Sebokeng, Westside Park, Zone 21, Ward 30. My question is, houses that were supposed to be built in Westside Park, what happened to that project? You only built 150 houses out of 1,150 per your plan.
Is in which
Ke tlo hlahisa potso ya ka mona. Ke tla lefatsheng la Westside Park Ward 30 e le hore mo re dulang teng e sale re dula since from 96 pampiri tsa rona tse re dumella jalo ka ha batho ba ngodisitseng dintlo mo South Africa a rona e leng hore ke step se leng ra senka re le baahi ba hona Zone 21 re le ka ho ya bo Pretoria re le ka ho ya province ro kopa ditokelo tsa rona metokelo e ya rona re kopa haholo ho bana ba di deeds and transfer please re kopa le re kenyelletse mo di budgeting ena ya leboseng e ntse di bua ka yona rona re le batho what date because re na le 20 something years re dula ntse re batlana le title up until now go sa gone ho thusana ne se ga tlile bohato re tsamaile re ile hona mo Pretoria re kopane le bontate le bina ofising ya Mezanele ha re ka re tlo thola thuso hona le motho a re mang ka pele hore re se ka ga gona ho fihlela mo re yang teng re kopa le attend hobane e very serious hlalosana jwale thank you
Ward 30 yako emfuleni. What's Ward 13 that?
Sanbonani igama lam ndingu Gugulethu ndingu Chwane isibongo ndipha ebuphilongu Ward 23 emfuleni ndihlala kwesa squatter camp kuthiwa yiKhrizane ndiyajabula xa ndisibona naso eso squatter camp nanjengendawo endihlala kumphazami ne uCFO ndiyabulela kakhulu
Uthi akekho uvadi apha.
ndiyaxolisa
CFO was a human settlement.
And then kunento ebendifuna ukuyibuza nje kancinci andigqithise kuyo ukuthi xa ethetha uthi kune challenge abahlangabezana nayo bengabahlali ngaphambili bathi yi-bulk yabo bengicela mhlambe ake angicacisele uba i-bulk yintoni na yabo ake singabantu baseMzantsi Afrika noRhulumente izigwada camp eGauteng zininzi and zinexesha elide abantu bazibhalisile izindlu since from 1998 abanye bathi 1996 yabo izigwada camp ezikhona zinexesha elide uhuman settlement akhonto ayibonakalisayo ayenzayo ngokunceda izigwada camp yabo kodwa kunento ayenzileyo kunezazinto zibizwa nge-mobile toilets yane eza mobile toilets i-toilet A1 ngenyanga ayizoxelela ukuthi akanamali yokunceda izigwada camp la toilet A1 ngenyanga yenza fortament akanamali so mina ndizibuza umbuzo ba la mali mhlambe yala yeza toilet ayikhona enye into mhlambe engeyenzile athathe la mali yabo seyilixesha elide ayikho into mhlambe ebengesenzele yona engcono uyabo ingcebiso icebo ani abantu umhlaba uyabo le housing lena ingathi iyasokolisa iyanisokolisa ningurhulumente. Sisikeleni izitendi, sibe nezitendi. Then indaba yezindlu izasithola siphambili. Uyabo? Sihamba kwindawo ngendawo ko-Springs, izikota camp zifakwe umubane. Uyabo? Izikota camp zakhelwe ama-toilet. Before uyongena kweso stand kune-toilet. But ezasesidibeni emfuleni kutheni zona zisemva. Uyabo? Siyacela sisikeleni izitendi, sibe nendawo zethu. Then yezindlu sizayinaze ngenxa yexesha ndizawuma apho, ndiyabulela.
Sikuvile mntakababa. Novadi wethu.
Sanibonani.
Sawubona.
Ujab Masondo lithanda ukubonga kokucala mina ngibonga ukuthi elisedi asinawo umkhukhu. Asinawo umkafishane. Ngizokhuluma nedepartment ayizwani nelocal. One elisedi kwa province. The province I allocate as the bakuthini bangena ngenkani abantu. Ngoba ayikho into eyenzakalayo. Ama-official wenu eza nabantu every official kuma-RDP banabangani babo banehlobo allocator every time eza nabantu uthola kunabantu enye into engizoyicela man ngicela kakhulu ni-investigate le ama-official ibaluleke kakhulu bayaganga bethu ayikho into abayenzayo abantu bayaganga. Thank you.
DDG, but to fire them is the people.
Ovela Hedgeberg, Ward 1, Ratanda, Obetinkosi. Baphathi
5. Sizoza ngoba lo muntu osakhile, it's possible he continues to get businesses. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to ask the team to respond. Like I said earlier, the problem is you know them. They get how because kamanyalo a ileng la kena ho ona la kgetsa go tswa mara la se iko mmuso ngore nna le Jomo a re sa le together. Wa tshwara pampiri ya o bontsha gore Jomo ha ise wa le wa hao. Nako e nngwe lona bomele a tsenye Salamina le Jomo ba ntshetsane magadi ba nke ntlu eo. O tle ho rona hamme ha o so nyalo ngwadisa bana ba hao. Tloela Jomo a ka tsatlisa sebo le braai pack ka tlung ntlo ya se ya hae. Honorable members.
No, thanks, Honorable Chairperson. I want the CFO explains where should the people get the service stands. There's one who talked here, Honorable Ngobe and Honorable Sima, Tina Sigu portfolio. Now abantu kumele basho ukuthi akuphi lama stands abathi bawa serviceile ikhona futhi budget ayishilo uCFO ukuthi bazowenza lama.
For coming forward with these questions. A lot of it is more comments rather than questions, which I certainly have taken note of. And
CFO, before you implicate yourself, in questions where you don't have adequate responses, as a portfolio stakeholders, as department, so that everyone who asks the question here, so the legislature, one of the powers we have is to make sure that if you don't have adequate questions, is to come back for a feedback session on all the projects that the people ask questions on and give proper answers. So don't pressurize yourself and implicate yourself unnecessarily. All we don't want is for community members to batle ba botsuwe nnete gore ha o kgone go kry-a ntlo o ipeile ko squatter camp-ong hona beanong maabane ka 2001 re na le bomme ba 1999. They are our priorities. So that's how we move as this portfolio committee. You are like you are going to spend the whole 3 months in this area of Sidibeng and West Rand. So, ha re tloga mo, re tla be re tloga le na le di answer tse sure gore okay, rona re a re qualify for dintlo mo budgeteng tse di tlang in the next 5 years. Go sentse go lebeletswe batho ba 1999 ke ba list ya bona ba tlo fela neng and so re kopa community le understand le ska expecta gore re o tlo le fa di answer ka ga ntse re ba pressurize ba feletsa ba re botsa maka and then be rona re salang ka maka re imelwa ke letlapa le le buile. So please don't pressurize yourself to respond to questions that you don't have answers to. We'll still have a feedback session on some of the issues raised here today. Thank you very much and over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, let me then go into detail here. Let me start with the issue on Mfuleni Ward 21, is that there's illegal occupation there and that there's no progress. Unfortunately, we don't have anyone from the district here that I could call up, but we certainly will take the question with the regional head, Ms. Esther Dlamini, so that she can give us a proper response which we can share with the portfolio committee and we can come back and share with the community here. I do understand the frustrations of the people. In fact, the housing register or demand for housing has jumped from 1.2 million to just under 2 million asking for houses. It's quite a huge number here in Gauteng when you can only deliver in excess of between 13 to 15,000 houses per year. And that strategy answers the question around what I would rather give the beneficiary a service stand, a fully service stand with roads and street lights, where he or she is able to rather build their own property instead of us building the RDP. There'll always be a need for RDP, but I think within Gauteng, the rapid land would go a lot further. I note that a lot of questions were asked about incomplete and abandoned projects. We are definitely addressing those issues. The first phase of abandoned projects has already kick-started, and we're busy with the second. What do we do with those contractors that caused this problem? Chair, we've recently just sent a submission to National Treasury to blacklist 8 service providers, and we're now taking it seriously, where we're not going to entertain this any longer. Those that do not come and show commitment and don't take us seriously, we'll prove to them how serious we are. So we're clamping down and we're being hard in terms of how we're dealing with these irate service providers. So 8 are being sent to National Treasury for blacklisting because we've given them the opportunities to respond, but they didn't. The vacancies are being filled. We continuously fill vacancies when they become available. It is a bit of a lengthy process, well, not lengthy, but it takes anything between 3 to 5 months, depending on the post, depending when it needs competency assessments and clearances, etc. But we are filling a lot of the vacant posts. That speaks to also the question on poor, on the service providers. We've inherited quite a history in the department and the challenges linked to some of those projects, and we try and address as much as we can as we move along. So on poor workmanship, we're no longer entertaining it. What we're also doing now is we're holding the professional team who signs off the certification of the contractor. He has an indemnity insurance, and we're holding them liable in terms of an indemnity insurance as well, so that they pay more attention and they sign off properly when it comes to the engineering certificates and the compliance certificates, so that they give us also assurance that the workmanship is good and is not going to be a problem. There's an annual report that is published every year. It's issued around September of the financial year, and we print a large sum of copies and we allocate it per region. Colleagues and public is welcome to access that at any given time. Within that annual report is the audit outcome that you are requiring. How do we communicate an audit outcome? It is published in that annual report, and it's a public document, It is also on our website for you to download on an annual basis, and that's where you'll get your answers when it comes to the audit outcome. Chair requests that I get a full detail on exactly each project and value of each project, location of each project, and what the exact detail on both conditional grants, how much is being spent and how much will be spent within the City Bank. It will also include what we're paying for sanitation services through the HTA. So we'll draw that detail and we'll ask the region to present that accordingly in terms of exactly how much and for what for it's being spent in City Bank. Why was Tshwane not excluded? I'll hold that question. I see the acting regional head, Ms. Dolly, is here. After I'm done, I'll request that she comes up and gives a proper response on the Tshwane related questions, or attempt to respond, but rather than advise if she would give a written response afterwards, especially on the Nelmapius, on the Gamont issue, on the houses that are being invaded there, and the fact that Tshwane's informal settlements were not part of the budget or part of our informal settlement plan. They don't see any Tshwane related informal settlements. The issue of Slovo Park Ward 7, when are we bringing houses there? I think I cannot answer that. I will need to go back to the planning team and ask them to see what planning has been done around the area and what's the acceptability of building. It might not necessarily be that we're building there within that area, but if there's an informal settlement within that area, what are we building close or nearby that we will move the informal settlement to? So I'll request also the region to give us some feedback and the planning unit on that one. What are we doing about consequence management? As a department, we've already dismissed 2 senior managers, a DDG and a director, through the consequence management that has happened. There's currently 2 SMSs that are going through another disciplinary process, over and above all other officials within the department that have gone through and are going through DCs right now. There's been suspensions without pay for periods of 3 months up to 6 months on offenses that have been found. So the department is exercising consequence management. Maybe it's not visible, but obviously that is dealt with from a confidentiality perspective because of people's personal files. But from the perspective of the department, we are acting on people and we are not leaving them down. We are also looking through our ethics, our anti-corruption and fraud unit, disclosures by SMS, and lifestyle audits also, so that we can start addressing the anomalies and the elephant in the room, if I can call it that. In terms of the big money requirements of the people, in terms of the needs of the people, had we had more and more in terms of the billions required, we certainly could deliver a lot more. Gauteng is receiving more and more people into Gauteng. They all want a piece of the gold, as per the words of the chairperson. And unfortunately, coming to this province, it has a huge impact because the budget linked to that individual, from the schooling, from the housing, from the health, from that province doesn't then encompass that budget province in the country, which makes it also difficult from the land perspective. But we still continue to try and to push. It doesn't mean we're stopping. We will still continue our best to see what we can do. We've got projects. There was a question around the projects, for example, like Palm Ridge. The developer has gone into liquidation. We've exercised our rights now, and we've dismissed that developer. There's a liquidator that we've requested all their plant be removed so that we can continue with that project. We're not going to now sit back and wait and leave for invasion, for destruction and damage, what we're looking for. The Auditor General is here, and they do actually go out and physically verify projects that were in our annual performance plan, which has budget that has been spent on. And they actually take their own professionals to go out and inspect those projects. They take their own quantity surveyors, their own engineers, and their own architects to look at exactly what was delivered upon as committed and promised by the department, and they provide it in such reports. So the AG does actually do that. When it comes to the registers, there are an approval. After I'm done, I'll ask also Colin to come up and talk a little bit about the Bank District and City Bank area to address this community as well. We will also look into that issue, Mayor, around Ward 13 Sebokeng, where the commitment was 1,000 houses as promised. When it comes to 25 years and there's no title deeds, unfortunately, there's no one here from the title deed section to assist, but we certainly note that, and we note the challenges when it comes to title deeds. It's compounding issues. It has impact with the municipalities, but it shouldn't take that 25 years for township to be established and for the title deeds to be handed over. Investigate why it's taking so long and why have they not been receiving their title deeds, or has the title deeds not changed in their name? It's still in the name of somebody else that it belongs there. What does bulk infrastructure mean? Bulk infrastructure means the piping underground that provides you water and that is used for the sanitation and wastewater, electricity as well, either, above ground or below ground. That is bulk infrastructure. Any piece of land that doesn't have bulk infrastructure close by where you can start connecting into, then you have the challenge that you cannot build there, because then you cannot get access to water, access to sanitation, or access to electricity. So that is bulk infrastructure, if I can explain it from a high level. Sanitation services is a basic human right. It is the responsibility of the public. Unfortunately, these municipalities that we are sitting here in today are struggling to even service that. Hence, we as the province have come in to assist in sorting that out for yourselves. So we'll still continue. We cannot stop providing this kind of services. Can you imagine if services like that must stop? I can't think it's untenable for me. I'm not sure in Heidelberg which specific project that was, but you mentioned Audit in Kosi. We'll raise that issue with the region to come and do the inspection, because it should not have been signed off if you claim that these flats are at the risk of people's. But we'll note what you're saying, and we'll make an inspection at the flats at Audit in Kosi and provide such report to see if there's any defects or anything that they might raise that cause challenges. Chair, let me pause there. Let me call on Colin Pizzo just to say a few words, and on Dolly. Feel free to come up and address any issues that I might have that have left out. Thank you very much, Chair.
Good afternoon, Chair, members, the community of the City Bank, and those that are coming from the city of Tshwane. Chair, I just want to amplify the waiting houses since 1996 to date, and also speak around the issues around the allegations of corruption that the gentleman spoke of. Chair, I think for community Yako Citibank, it's a needs register, and the Citibank regions accounts for 100,000 a year alone. In the Citibank region, we'll be building 1,300 units in the city Obetim Tombeni and Impumelelo, which are mainly, Chair, in the Lisedi region. Like the gentleman who stood here and said in Lisedi, they can probably say there's no the necessary figure. And what we wish to request, Chair, similarly to what we've actually done in the Western region, is that if there are individuals from the Mfuleni region, from the mid-100 houses that you're going to be building, 8,000 will be only in Lisedi. Meaning that only we've got, I think, about 4 projects that will be taking place in Mfuleni, which will only yield about 300. But we want to move to another, especially noting that we've got a housing policy, allocation policy, that prioritizes Matuba registering between 96 and 99. So it will work in your local municipality. With regards to the rapid land release, I wish to encourage service side on people that want to build for themselves. If people are interested in that particular program, again, Chair, we've just made an acquisition of land in the Lesedi region as well. Those that wish to build for themselves, if they could just come forth to register for the need, so you can be able to. With regards to Extension 28, Chair, it is true that those houses are being invaded. In fact, as early as yesterday, as late as yesterday, there was an invasion that took place, and the department is in a process of obtaining a court order as we speak. And I can safely indicate that it is seriously a sin, particular Extension 28. However, we are on top of it as a department and want to believe that. On the last matter around the allegations, I also wish to indicate that if there are allegations of people that are allocating people erroneously so, or who are not necessarily qualifying, I wish to indicate that would actually require you to be able to do an affidavit, come forth, such that you can be able to deal with the wrongdoing of individuals. But I also wish to state that if one prohibits you from staying in Pretoria or in Lesedi, so if people are coming from Soweto, if they would qualify properly, hence we are encouraging people that are coming from other regions to go and occupy metros and the old established townships in our different municipalities. I think I will end there, Chair. Thanks.
When the Gauteng Human Settlement Department built houses, it built houses for people of Gauteng who are on the needs registry. So if we build the houses in Tshwane, and those houses are built in Sidibeng, her house or his house will be in Tshwane. And then, same applies to when the project is in Sidibeng. So di matlo a agiwang ke province, ke mantlo a rena kaofela batho ba province. Ha le ko awarding ya hao, project le ko awarding ya hao, ha rona kaofela. So ha re ngwadisa, by the way, le ngwadisa le national. Province ya Gauteng yona ya ko listing ya national ya re feng ba rona ba Gauteng. Ya ba fa bona ba Gauteng. Ka re sentse re age everywhere. Mo lefatshe le leng teng mo Gauteng. Re agela batho ba Gauteng. Re tla be re tla re tlo aga ko 3 ko Lesedi. Re agela batho ba Gauteng, e seng batho ba ko 3 ba Lesedi. Ke engwe ya mabaka a re tshwentseng gore re tlhaloganye gore project ba re ke ya province kaofela go thoma ha Maskrala kwana Tshwane go fitlhella ward ya go qetella bordereng ya Free State le ward ya go qetella bordereng ya Limpopo. Le di utlwisise ditaba tse. Lona mmereko lona ko etsa sure batho ba ke nnete ba teng ko housing registry na. Le ska re ba tswa Soweto. Ba ya banka di girlfriend, banka borakgadi wa bona ba ba ke ka dintlong. Ba seyo housing registry. Mara motho o mongwe le mongwe mo housing registry ke ena qualifyang for ntlo ya RDP kae kapa kae Gauteng ka bophara. Over to you, ma'am. Emphasizing and making people to understand. Least you will be called corrupt. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Afternoon, Chairperson, and afternoon to everybody. My name is Doli Moerane Bacela, region in the Gauteng Department of Human. Chair, I think patient for the municipalities to submit their requirements. It would mean that we did, because this is this is sent directly to the municipality. I was not aware. I will then follow up and will be able to provide a written response.
3 presentations, CFO. If kuna le motho kunomuntu la uphethe isiform ne-ID yakhe ufuna ukuchecka i-status sakhe sakuthi just go there and check yourself and check if everything is in order. Like I said, we always check and find that batho abatholi matlu a bona hobane haba submit the ID, haba submit the marriage. Di maletse fela le ska ya ka bongata ba lona. Ho kra line na le batho ba can we have the next presentation? Update the invaded project ko Olivene. Take all the presentations and then ask questions. Oh, batla khole batla khotse khona le bo ausi bonjabulo le bo ka re promisitse gore part ya matla rona gore re buse department gape tlo le fa feedback on some of the issues that you raised. So you are also allowed to do that. When you are ready, we are ready for you ourselves.
Ours is to actually give an update. We will, without actually wasting time of this particular presentation, we can actually move. Che besithanda ngisho nanokubonga ithuba esilinikwa na umphakathi nanayo iproject yase Olivenwood hoetsetsa so re tlile hona mo ko meeting o gore tlo khona re tlhalose mo re le teng ka yona progress ya rona besivivenhood Bosch 27 siyacinga ke uba inkazelo esizawuba nayo izawukhona uba ifikelele ekumbekeni kwisimo soba ayazi ba siphi simhulumende kuyo le project lena ke mhlali ngaphambili iDepartment of Human Settlement yafumanisa uba kukho invasion on land and houses that are there. 888, RDP houses were actually invaded. 48 over and above that, we had, vacant land that was actually invaded. Ususela 2017 up until date, there has been more invasion on this particular project. Ngandlela ethi uma siya e-court ngoba sithi evicte laba abantu abawu 888 nalabo ukuthi beba occupy ama business stands awu 45 ngo 2018 chair ngoMay i-court gave us the order eviction. Then till now the order eviction. Then till now, as soon as the order was actually given to the department, we were confronted with his grounds for refusal were based on the fact that he was fearful to actually go on to site. Say that they should actually appoint a sheriff who would then be able to execute the order. Approaching a court would have to endure a period of about closest to 5 months for a court to actually appoint a sheriff. We have since then, in fact, been provided with a sheriff to make sure that at least we move with the eviction order that we actually had, was to actually approach the Metro Police. We spoke to SAPS in an effort to try and, in fact, get them to assist us with the eviction processes. Now that the order was actually obtained and it was in our favor. That again meant that we had to actually engage those stakeholders and, in fact, get into various engagements with them. To this extent, the report that we can give to the committee is that SAPS, together with Metro, had indicated that they would actually want to participate but would be comfortable with the order being followed to the latter. The order indicates that sheriff should actually appoint, or alternatively the department should actually appoint a security company to be the one that actually execute. Now, in 2019, it is common cause that there was COVID in the country.
And we could not actually execute as a result of that. So there are a number of projects that could not be executed. Oh, I beg your pardon, ma'am. Thank you very much for correcting dearly. Thank you very much, Madam Ngube. But we could not actually, execute as a result of, the pandemic that was there. So that is, amongst others, a reason that would have been there for a delay in the execution of the order itself, ma'am. So where are we now? Now that legal has actually obtained the order, and we have actually stabilized the area around, the sheriff that is supposed to assist us, and we have actually now the cooperation with the execution. And the one hurdle that would have been there was around the actual, availability of a security company that, in fact, would assist the entire security, cluster in the actual execution. We now are at a process of actually crafting actually been, in fact, held back as a result of the non-availability of security companies that are there. So we would like to actually share with the committee that we are at that point where we are now actually making sure that we have a panel that is there. This panel would not necessarily be a panel to deal with evictions, but it's a panel that is there to assist the departments that are there. So as such, that particular, committee will then, be assisting us also deal with the question of, the estimates or, in fact, the budgets that, in fact, will be there, in the execution of, the work itself. The work would actually involve the following, and our estimates would be on those particular aspects that one will actually, share with the colleagues, and, in fact, with the committee as such. The cost would be cost for the demolition, because some of the structures that are there are actually constructed, from iron, corrugated, iron, and in fact others are brick structures and all. So then the cost for the demolition engaged. Then there's costs for rubble removal, in addition to the other costs that in fact one has actually mentioned. There's cost for transportation, of illegal occupants. There's cost for transportation of, in fact, beneficiaries. Then there's protection services for the cooling off period. Where do we get this particular cost? The department would not be confronted with an eviction process, for the first time. We then would have actually benchmarked, on the normal costs that follow an eviction process, and in fact, the reallocation that is actually, that follows, that particular exercise. Chair and committee members, we have actually put in a cost estimate that is around, 8.8 million. Where do we get, these figures? The sheriff has actually shared with us, those costs, confirm the appointment of the security company. We will then, in fact, be able to come back to the committee and, in fact, give figures that, in fact, are not estimate, but figures that would be realistic as those that would emanate from the security, company itself. So that is the update, thus far. So we are actually afar in terms of, in fact, the establishment of the panel. And once that is actually confirmed, the cost element will be shared with the committee, and everything will then follow. This particular presentation would actually also touch on, in fact, eviction taking place because of the non-availability of the security company. That is where one would like to end, his submission thus far. Thank you very much, Chair, and would like to thank the committee members. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. I think what we're going to do is take the next presentation, dealing with the those at the back that are being assisted, if we can just try and keep the noise down a bit, because it is affecting feedback on the earphones when we're trying to listen. Thank you. CFO, over to you.
Thank you very much, Acting Chair. I'm going to present on behalf of Mr. Ngobo. Unfortunately, they are unable to attend the meeting. They're busy with Dunas right now. So I'll present what he's put forward on his presentation in terms of hostels. I'm just trying to open it here so that I can talk to it directly. Thank you very much. If you can just flight the presentation on hostel redevelopment program. If we move to the next MECs in terms of the delivery agreement and the effect on hostels that are owned by the department only, the 6 hostels that are owned by the department and not necessarily the hostels that are owned in terms of hostels. So part of our planning and part of our budget allocation was also to address those issues that were raised by the Audit Hostel Redevelopment team. Is inner city hostels, department owned, routine maintenance and refurbishment and environmental upkeep. Very important because one of the biggest challenges there, some major repairs. For example, there's an entire substation at one of the hostels that is completely vandalized to the tune of around 3 million rand that the department will have to implement and pay for to get it corrected. And then the bulk assessment, we would need to, from that time, so one needs to reassess the bulk because that is where some of the biggest challenges lies within the hostels. We also want to complete the incomplete work or the unfinished work within Jabulani, Ritabile and Orlando West. And that's around 135 units that we seek to deliver in the current financial year. Then we also want to do the planning of all the hostels and hand over to the plan of the. This is the budget for the department. It's sitting at 151 million for the financial year in question. Obviously, no expenditure has hit it as yet. Million rand accessibility from what they can access. How are they allocating that funds? If you go to the next slide, you'll see 52% of the budget, which is 74, close to 75 million, goes towards inner city, and that's for the maintenance and environmental upkeep. So this is for you can move to the next slide. And we've now also finalized the PRT for the bulk assessment, which is now being tabled at BSC. In the Joburg, we've prepared the
C form. Rasalika meeting. Thank you. You can continue.
Thank you. For Johannesburg, we do in terms of finalizing some of the professional work that is being done there within the West Rand and the Kululeni of where exactly the funding's been spent, exact detail, for an example, on the maintenance and upkeep, around 15 million, the bulk 10 million towards Ritabile, and then Jabulani, Orlando West and Diepkloof, million goes towards Kagiso and Kutsong hostels, and then in Kuruleni, predominantly planning work to the tune of 32 million rand. If you go to the next slide, where are we in terms of the major repairs being done to some of the roads, some of the hostel blocks, sewer, water and electricity, some of the major upkeeps. Bulk assessment is currently being done. They've completed 50 out of the 228 units for Ritabile LTA housing project, and we intend on completing that. Diepkloof Hostel, outstanding planning milestones, and now we're handing over this report to the municipality. Orlando West, the bill of quantities has been completed for 35 units to complete the 35 units that we're going to implement. Jabulani, we want to complete 50 of the 360 units based on the available budget. And then Wattville, we're doing the outstanding planning milestones so we can hand over to the municipality. And Kagiso Old Hostel, we're busy with the ROD for the EIA Township approval for additional land. And all plans and designs regarding the original land is complete and is approved, but we're waiting for the ROD and the EIA on this one. Chair, I'm going to pause there and move to the next presentation, which is in relation to poor performing contracts. If you can please open that slide. It's also very quick. It's just 2 slides. Thank you. If you can just move to the second slide. We have two contractors that we're busy with right now. One of them is Link Thoughts Consulting. The project is within Shoshanguve Extension 19. We've now engaged them and subsequently we've reduced the scope and we've invoked penalties with this company. Although they're arguing, but we've now invoked the penalties and we've reduced the scope with the intention that if they don't shape up, they're moving towards blacklisting within government. The second company is Buya and Mpolelo Trading and Projects. This is Hospital Hills, Drizik Extension 4 and Stratford Extension 4 in the Joburg region. We've issued them the notification letters requesting the completion of deliverables. Otherwise, we're going to invoke our penalties. We've given them the 14-day time to do corrective measure. Failure to do, then we'll start invoking penalties and move towards either removing them and blacklisting them as well, and removing them out of our panel because we're not going to maintain these companies within our panel who cannot deliver on a single project that we're giving them. What controls and measures have we put in place? Next slide. We've got performance guarantees and we exercise our penalties and damages against the guarantee. We include performance management and obligation clauses within the contract. They include penalty clauses as well. And we've also got a standardized template now where we do quarterly reporting by project managers. This includes delivery date, level of performance, subcontracting data, penalties and remedial action, financial status, contract management activities, project management activities, challenges, and any risk management. So there's a more tighter control in terms of how we manage some of this. Thank you, Chair. I'll pause there for now.
Thank you very much, CFO and the leader of delegation here. I ke re la bona batho ba bagolo ke Gauteng Human Settlement ya rona kaofela batho ba Gauteng. That's why re ka tlisa le batho ba ko Tshwane ko Sedibeng. He re na re meeting le portfolio committee tshwana le area Tshwane tsatsi le lengwe go na le item ka batho ba Sedibeng le bona ra ba transporter re ba isa Sedibeng. Go go le ruta gore ntwe re etsang re etsetsa lona kaofela batho ba Gauteng. That's why le matlo he re aga ko Ward 1 ko Tshwane re agela batho ba Gauteng ga re agele batho ba Ward 1 ko Tshwane because ga re sa tlhele re le ko di Bantu stand gore mo go dula batswana fela ga re batle community re sokodisang gore e gana go dula ko sentse di project di ne teng ene ba feletsa ba sa kry matlo ke community go na le morafo mong ga o batlo tlhakana le batho ba ba so ga gona ntho re ka e dirang go le number 15 tlo itswile le number 50 ke a ha wa bona unless go na le mabaka le gore a gapeletsa gore wena o remain ko lendeng and that's why gantsi o tlo kira batho ba dutsi ba sena matlo ba ganne matlo a ke re matlo a ke a batho ba ba sokolang ba ba senang eng kapa eng ba bang ba rona sore ga re sana bana ba tshentshile ba bereka ba na le matlo ko bo mayors dale kae mo Vereeniging mo ba dula le lona mara le sa le mo di listing ba le support o kra ba o tlhokometse ka bo 7,000 ba re tsamaye re emphasize matlo a RDP ke a batho ba ba senang gore ka gore re rentise ntlo le re ska dula ho yona ho na le motho o e tlhokang haholo ka rona bana ba re ke check if there are questions from the honorable members. Honorable Ncube's hand is up. Honorable Dlamini, my apologies. Honorable Dwaba, and then in the communities, honali miomo salika mustopa emimo. Mewas mascot honaloaka. Then number 7 ka KPC, number 8 ka momraho KPC. Yes. Number 9, Kaspoti. Number 10, KPC. Hona le o ke mo tlogetseng, number 11. Kaofela ha lona
Chairperson, here it says update on Meadowlands Hostel update. I did not get an update unless to say we are the maintenance. Every year we get that budget of cleaning, the maintenance. But when we go there, we find that cleaning was just even grass cutting. So you are saying we are gonna do an assessment. It's towards the end of the second month of the new financial year. Have you started? At the end of before elections 2024, we're still talking about the bulk assessment. When is that going to be starting and end? And then you do the real work, because you have been there. When we invited yourselves to go together as the committee and the department to those hostels. So what is the timeline? I really don't understand this update. There's no update here. It's the same thing even last year. Stanger will tell us about this BQ something and nothing happens. So can we get clear plans? Clear plans. We become promised on many things. No, the bulk will be done by the city. The city has budget, but at the end there is nothing. So you need to tell us. And maintenance. You see, it's the new roof where there's a damaged roof. People there residing in hostels can do that. We have been saying that employ the same people there that are residing there. They can take good. That was supposed to be taking it to the tender. The tender that you're going to be advertising for 5 months, and at the end, the money just disappears.
Really? I made a mistake when I said Slidova. Sorry, I didn't.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mama, sorry.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks for this. There are two issues for me. One is that realistically, if you want to make an impact in the hostel we're talking about, in your reports of 2016, 2017, 2018, you always said you were spending 16 million, 18 million. There is no impact that is going to happen there. Nothing. Forget it. Those things are damaged because of lack of maintenance. You know the situation on the ground there. 10 million in those 6 hostels. In the last 2 financial years, there was a report that the department has spent almost 200 million in Gauteng. It's about 5 million there, 8 million there to report and hand over. And what happened with that 200 million, which was for planning? Actual work, near 150 million. You can't be spending 16 million per year on maintenance, no major repairs in 2016, 2018, but now you miss major repairs, your budget is so small. Thanks.
On invaded projects, but project A1. There are 2 projects are invaded with Oliver Notbosch. Okay, problem. It's 11, Baba. I think Bokon. We had a meeting in Hamilton. Bekona Department of House, Women Settlement Yonka from province until it's 1. Whereby from province until it's 1. Whereby in 2020 nothing happened. So konamanje mauti COVID 2019 and labantu 6 years bahle lapha kuleza zindlu. Angikhona understand ukuthi okay mauti bekuyinkinga yemali, but there were budgets as before Why beninga budget ngale mali le eminyaka endlulile until 2019 ngikhiphe labantu lapha ezindlini. Khona manje abantu baphethe ama-approval basahlele emchashweni. Ibhlungu lento le kithi basibhekile. Umuntu mawudlula athi nanhlwa kakho ikiraning. Lona kakula di meeting ndlwa kakho ikiraning. Sibaphendula sithini? Siyeze ema-ofisini. Alikho isizwe silithola ema-ofisini. Size several times sizigibeza. La iJoburg isizile. Ethwani sigijimile. Akunancedo. Enye into engicela ukuyazi ukuthi khiwa. But baya overseer mina ngazi into abayi overseer yo yini. Because ba overseer I process ukuthi these people banikwe isikhathi esingaka sokwenza this job. Is this job done correctly? CFO bekayikhuluma la uthi ngibona aveze only 2 contractors abebanika umsebenzi abangawenzanga. What about iGamont neSawiki? Because in 27 mark invade you, it's because of Sawiki, not because of the public people. So, but decide good bus fake kuleza zindlu. Ngiyabonga.
Dumela. Bisela ka ke nna lobisa ngobeni, ke tswa Olivenwood. Se leng hore a ra itsamaya. Starting isantse ile Honorable Mayor Msimang. Hauna office eleng hore a ra itsamaya. The only thing good enkare o yentse re leboela 112 ela o ifakileng go extension 27 o ifakileng. Ne ke kopa tlhaho advice maybe next time le invite or re kana ra re fihla go di areas tsa rona ra ba di target. Mo extension 36 mo invaduleng. That mola re nna le gangsters. Re nna le serious thugs, the wanted. But ba eleng hore you can not even greet them. Bana ha ba pali ka montle. So Department of Human Settlement fail. Department of Human Settlement fail. I'm very sorry to say that I wish MEC mailenge alitemo. We are not safe really batho re le ka montle. Re allocate wa into 36. Hona le motho mo buile hore ka re hona le shika o iru houses after 1 week they invade you. And I had invade you. Invade I battle o bolelelena. Motho tla o botsa I'm from Soweto, I'm from Alexander, I'm from Deep Slot. So re kopela thuso committee. Olivenwood Bosch is in trouble. Tshwane is in trouble. Olivenwood Bosch is in trouble. Ka invade you. And ntongo ne ke kopa ho ibua. Leadership I know hore le mo committee but it's what maybe different political parties. Stop this thing alone or heli le mo le smart. Mar heli fitla ka montle go di renza rona. Le tle lona le tshwere lawyera tsa hore motho invade le ntlo ya motho a tshwere pampiri for close to 21 years motho a emetse ntlo a tshware pampiri mara motho a tla ka 1 month yena a tsene ha fetsa o mmatlela lawyera. What about the person all over 1996? What about the person all over 90 or now respect? I am when I gonna buy it up in the office. But what overseer the project? They don't do nothing. Project managers they don't do nothing unless you're not community. But just there to assist to assist because of refill at least about information. The last thing enga kupela ngwibu nere kopa tswetswe it's down on the ground. Already into Department of Human Settlement. The only problem, hali monetary, hali fiena human settlement na. It's a great penalty. Deep slot. It could be Oliven. I could be just that by relay Bustagari Babona Bombe Basoet. By relay Bustagari Bahuken, but 26 after that, they knew they used the money, they spent the money in Dubai, Papa Lagobere. So please investigate and Sawik. Thanks.
Can I get clarity? Is this South African women in construction?
Job from them, but what we need, they must deliver. If you give them tenders, how come Ufamu to tender level 1? What is that? Level 1. I have a level 1, but I can't tender. Bonabana level 1, but I think it video. Hapula in my first material of very weak in 1 month. Piping. They are due. So please, be careful that issue the flat or to tender when it comes to flatlets, before what kind of contractors investigate Sawiki.
Thank you, noted. 2 minutes, Araskatanali.
Nna ke na kena le ntho e ke kopang ho Department ya Human Settlements. Hore like hona jwale budget e tswile hore ho tlo etswa eng kae le kae. Ha ho tla di se re na fela. Ba patalwa batho bana. Hodima ba patalwa ho teng. Matlo a hauwe mo ho nang le clay soil. Wa tseba mo reng ha pula e nele le koloi se ka ba kgona ho kena. Ha ho na le mathata storage ya phunyeha. Ha storage e phunyeha ba leta ha hona ntho ba tla e etsa. So ke kopa ho le department get some le di-pipe tsa storage. Mme ke a kopa hore ha ba planela batho ho ba etsetsa matlo ho kwetswe ho kenywe di-pipe tsa sewer tse kgolo wa tseba tse tla etsang hore se ka ba le mathata ana a bang teng a sewer e dulang o fumana hore e kena le ka matlung batho ba le mathata. Batho ba ka hodimo ba ha ba patallwe ntho e teng batho ba modimo ba kgolle ntho e teng ho se ka ho etsetswa batho ba hlophehileng. Bona batho bao ba hlophehileng ha ona le pula hona le eng makaka meroto e kena ka hara matlo a bona. Ke a leboha.
Ke a leboha Chairperson. O a buang ke Sebatlelo Ponyane. I'm from Ward 16 in Fulene. Ona mo next to Rasteval. Ke one ya batho ba sa leng ba ngodisa matlo ka 96 le 99. Still re end up ile re ipeya mane pleke e bitswa ho thwe ke Ramaphosa informal settlement. Bothata bo re nang le bona re affectwa haholo ke infrastructure ya Rasteval. Hona le the spillage ya storage. Ebile re qabanya le our neighbors, the colored people. Ba ibulela hore e tle ka ho rona mo ke leng teng na e dula hona mo e fitla e tswa hodimo kwana e fitla e ema ka jareteng e ke hlongweng ho yona ke councillor ya ward eo ya ward 16. Jwale potso ya ka ko hore na re lekile ho bua le yena hore tata etsa plan hore na storage e bulelwe e ka tsela e nentse e etswa teng Emfulele la tla ya aha another kotopo mo this storage e tla ne e discharge teng but ke bona ka re ha wa etswa mosebetsi o hantle hobane e tse e tla e kena ho rona ka matlong ene e affecta maphelo a batho haholo. Potso ya ka ya bobedi ko hore na jwale ka ha the former mayor Ntate Merane has been there to that informal settlement. I promise hore the budget has been allocated for that area hore ho etla thusa hobane ho dutse fela ha ona ditsela tsa teng ha se ditsela. Ene sempa fela hore batho ba fumane bodulo. Lastly ha ke dula fatshe re a kopa re le baahi ba Emfuleni ho tloha Ferena Gene mona ho fitla la Rasteval spillage se ya tshosa le ka hara ha ke tsebe re Akon Parka and ditsela tsa teng ebile metsi a kopotsa a tswa ka hara ditsela re hona le ho qeta bo dibeke tse ding tsa diterata tse kgolo hona ho finyana le Checkers mona ha di tsamaye. I'll mention the street bo Orchard bo Disa bo metsi ana lo tlala ka ho tsela ha o khone ho tswa ka jareteng ha o tlile ho di neighbors ka moo. Kopo ya rona ko re na re tlo thuswa jwang nining hore re tlowe mane or government e etsang hore re thole bodulo bo hantle. Re understand our budget ya budget a ke sa batla ho bua ka yona hobane ke ntho e iphetang ke ka ho le CFO a ntsa botswa hore na o budgetela okay thank you mama ke a tloha
o budgetela le monsena o budgetile hanyane empa le motse fitileng o no ile ho 16 million ba re this year o re 10 million re tlo thuseya jwang ha batho ba leng di officially di sa kgone ho
Who stop it?
No, kita stick out 2 minutes. Okay, kalina ke Shane. Ki jwa mo plus ga o finyana le Oliven. The evasion je pedi je di bileng gona go Oliven. Ke ta thoma ka 27. Part ya yona tinto ja gona di bileng go batho ba rena from go mo plus. So Rezamile go dula le government official several years go toga marago kwareya but we never have received any joy. Meeting wa rena wa mafelelo I think go la mo a bollang ka ona ne re le go Hamilton. So pole re grileng gore eviction letter e jwele mara abane budget ya company ya security. So today if vice versa read. So today, if vice versa, it was upside down. So, Ridilemo Krenagana or while Amara, that was something. Hopalanta Dola by Emigua are informaga division one. At least I got a fair timeline, that's the one. Relotal Sanger, well, of course, if you come whole, for Radula another 8 years. Just as for ourselves. Thank you.
Dumelang. Ke na khuluma rona ke tswa ke le polokong go 25 then ke kopa go tlela morawa nyana ke utlwile o bua ka di revenue then my intake go hore then like re na le high rate ya unemployment ka ra se dibeng then ke tabeng ya hore for indigent renewal ya ntwena ya hore to emphasize into study indigent go di different areas go re re bane le hore re bane le di satellite different areas so that to capture ya di title deed like our last speaker say se ba di buileng ka taba ya di ntho ya di title deed because it's been a long time re metsi title deed sikara o 25 ene batho ba bangata like pandemic ena ya COVID-19 batho ka bangata ba tlhokofetse ene there was a corruption e la etsala during the last period ya ile re leadership ele sorry previously. Then happy tabinyan tuna yadi tsela is becoming a huba wesi kara 25 hapula dinele. Can human settlement at least try to do something at yadi tsela? Thank you.
Ke rata o dumedisa ka lebitso ke nna Disema ke hla Ratanda Hitleback Ward 5 extension 8 o tswa ka ho lona ba etapele ke a utlwa le bua ka batho ba ana ba ikentseng ho twinki a di invader so ne ke rata ho tseba hore rona ka mole ka Ratanda e sale ba ikenya ha go utlwe le bua ka yona batho ba sebedisa metsi mahala motlakase mahala ene ho bona ka mo ke ditsotsi ene ba mba bona gale ba allocate ba fuwe ntlo tsa bona ba hirisitse mara still ntse ba dula ka ga ntlo tseo so ne re kopa tswetswe ho lona ba etapele go kopa thuso ya lona go utlwa hore di invader tse le tse ka mo ka Hitleback ho etswa jwang ka tsona ke a leboha
sanibonani ndiyabulela andizoba mde umbuzo wami umfitshane kakhulu siyabona ne sivile futhi ukuthi izimali zininzi ezikhutshiweyo kuRhulumente izimali zininzi izimali ezibalwayo ku department uthembisa abantu so mna ke ngicela ukubuza ukuthi xa kubuyo apha futhi sibuya sisiza kule meeting ingabe lukhona na utshintsho esizobe silubona sentsho sizobe futhi sizophinde futhi sithethe kwayilento inye sime kuyo ukuthi kunemali yebudget ebikhutshiwe kwathini okanye sizobe sithetha ngoba kunempucuko kunotshintsho olwenziweyo ezindaweni esihlala kuzo na kumbuzo wami lowo sikhona na eso siqinisekiso
Sivile insizwa yakithi.
Yeah.
Abantu babaningi bafuna ukukhuluma wena ukhulume 4 minutes ekuqaleni. Sivile
Sanibonani.
ufuna ukwazi ukuthi
Igama lami nguNomasonto Ramotsibe. I'm a community development worker at Lesedi local municipality. In our municipality, 2 hostels were invaded. And ukuba abanye abantu from the legislature bayawenza umsebenzi wabo. Ngabe lawo ma hostel azanga invadwe. Ntatetseki came to me with a member of EFF. We went to those hostels. Sabheka ukuthi abantu bangene lapho kumele kushoda ini. Wabhala i-report, but nothing was done. Eshalima uma uthi uyobheka, government employees are staying there. Taxi bosses are staying there. Ukuthi bazokhishwa nini labantu asazi. Erathanda 1187 CR units. Abantu hostel basuke ku this hostel bahlala kulena. Ngapha kulebe kuyo umuntu uqhashisile ngapha wenza imali. Eshalima umuntu oyi1 uowner ama flat ayi10 babhadala kuye, but those people are not paying anything to the municipality. Kuzwisa ubuhlungu. Singama community development workers sikhona kumasipala bethu. Whatever esi-reportako, ithatheni serious. Our upon mashadile once came 1187 CR units at Road. Our politicians uma bafika bayabachanela hayi ungangeni ngapha. We instructed her ukuthi siwabonile ama challenge as CDWs. Let thina sikubonise because we are working on the ground. These politicians abasebenzi on the ground. They are working in the offices, but azange akwenze lokho. And those people abaseshalima bathi mzukwane niyobakhipha kuyofa abantu. Thank you.
Sanibonani.
Lengasheshi lapha phatha matsogo.
Sanibonani.
Lo sisi lo cetha ukukhuluma. I-employee ya government. Manithi sonke si corrupt. Azikho corrupt. I-CDW. I-community development work. Umsebenzi wakho ukuthatha ama issues from i-community. Awuyise ku government. A department DWs. Are they adding value to communities or to the department itself? But then what are the frustrations and how do we help them? So it means where UCCR reporter corner, somebody is not doing their job. Nina nizolwa naye, yena frustrated akuna muntu omu responda. So I just wanted to clarify that she's a critical stakeholder but a critical government official in this instance. We are patal every month end. And it's not all of them who are corrupt, but many of them are frustrated by the system. So let's go repenta kaofela kapente twana. Last person.
Ay nangu ogcina. Che bengithi nje ngidlulise lokho ngoba angifunanga ukuphawula lokho kule slide lesesidlulile. So kune community lapha eZone 19 whereby department yakhile izindlu kodwa ke le contractor le ayizange iqede umsebenzi wayo njengoba bekulindeleke. So kunama install amagiza only I-12 out of 108 houses that were built in the final stage of build izindlu in that location eZone 19 extension 24. So sicela nje ukuthi i-contractor le because siyayazi dala sibacela ukuthi hey qedelana umsebenzi wenu yini inkinga yenu ukuthi nifake nifaka amagiza ningafaka amagiza to the rest of the houses that we're supposed to. So but again
Don't mention it.
no, I mean indaba nalokho. So into kanje uyazi uMafrika Dwaba uthi sibuya kuphi. So and azange icedelele umsebenzi wayo wamagiza. So sifuna ukuthi beze ngoba if ama-HIP letter we sign ukuthi abantu bajabulile. So hleli and now kuna this thing ukuthi abanye bahleli kunamagiza abanye abanawo. So kwenziwa yini lokho ukuthi kube ne selective of i-service. So yile inkinga yami nje chairperson, ngiyabonga.
Thank you very much. The last person.
From Plus. You know, I very much, but we've been sent pillar to post. I can say the houses that has been invaded in Olive and Westbush. I want to talk about the issue of when are they going to be taken out. I want to know when will be the relocation takes place. So if maybe we can have a date, it is going to be very much good. Because sometimes immediately when we go back home, we are going to confess the exact answer. I'm going to be happy about that. Because right now, I know that immediately when we already told them that no, we are coming here, and they know that no, we'll be coming back with a good answer. So please, leaders, let us know, give us exact answer, so that we mustn't be in trouble when we convey a meeting. Because previous time, the leaders, they said, official, we have requested the official in our meeting so that they can just come to brief the community. So they fear to come to the meeting. I can give an example. Our leader, Comrade David Makura, he came to our area with his whole cabinet, with his cabinet, and he any trust to the leaders. So right now, I think maybe we are coming to an end whereby we'll be having a good answer from today. Thank you.
Dumelang, that you are a public servant. Lonal seveletsa rona. So re kopa ho bua le rona 2 minutes ya rona e be fela. I'm coming from Ward 6, using Ward 6 e bitswa Marikana. Ke straight 6 ntato buile ka yona but answer teng a ya utlwahala. Ke tlile ka lebaka la hore there's an upgrading of informal settlement project e loreng e se fuwe budget. If iloro on a list ya hore o tlo ke itharela batho ba 50, how is it anyway possible o kgona go subtract 10 o bo o etsa 40? My question is that ka Ward 6 hona le batho ba iloreng ba wela ka informal settlement e dutsing on a say upgrading of informal settlement, where else they are citizens of South Africa, but just because ba kentswe mo on a siding of certain political party, even the party again as well, let's on a lapel. So mine today is to say, ona lore ke tlo dula mona and then ke le jwetse ka di grievances tsa dintho tse etsalang informal settlement teng. On that informal settlement ke utlwa le re Sidibeng district le tlo ahela batho matlo a if I'm not mistaken 1,000 something. So mine or 100. Mine is to say on that informal settlement LNT 1,000 we are more than million, and you come to tell us for what is this budget human settlement you are only allocating Kolesedi. I still want to know because we've been I remember rentse memorandum ho MMC enyo habana metsi habana toilet. After this very same memorandum o go yentse utlisua di toilet di isua informal bantse bana le tsona sanitation e loreng bane bana le ona ha ba isi ka batho mbaneng. So human settlement e bua ka matlo fela, but ha e bui ka batho ba di informal settlementeng ka o re bona as the tenant tsa South Africa di melao ya bona le ditokelo tsa bona, because o ka se tlo re jwetsa gore motho o tlo motlosa o sa mo jwetse tokelo tsa gore ha motlosa o mo isa kae kapa bo mo hatella ka gore o kene ka phoso mo ha tshwanela ho thola dithuso tsa metsi kapa sanitation. Ke ntho e ke tlileng ka yona ho ha rona hona jwale potso ya ka go hore ke batla thuso ya hore re tloa because masipala rile o re feitse. So I don't know hore
di councilor ki ile ka le kwala ka ntle le na le dipotso. The right. Lirile di written submissions. Ha ke re la tseba hore ntho e nngwe le nngwe e sebetsa ka nako. And then re le baemedi ba lona re le file chance kaofela. Ntse re le lenient re re ha batho ba emisa matsogo kaofela ba ba batlang go bua. Skamela batho ba bue wena o bo re wena wa bua. Ha ke tlo dumela. Re fe bontate bana le bomme bana ba tswang departmenteng sebaka sa hore ba arabe mo ba kgonang go araba. Mara ke itse go araba. Mara ke itse araba. Specific service delivery challenges. Amongst the issues you raise here are not even related to the department, are related to the municipalities where you come from. So really committee really so. Re na le matla a gore re bitse le di masepala gore le ikarabela jwang go potso e community e botsisang gore mathata a o lokisa ditsela tsa ka mohara di township le tlo a dilaneng le ona. Mara re ke bue ntho nngwe ke masepala o na le ntho re e bitsang IDP. IDP e etswa hobane setjhaba se itse re batla tsela mo, re batla swimming pool mola, re batla library ka nqane, re batla skolo ka nqane. Masepala wa di tseya di community X le community Y. Ba fetsa ba compiler ba etsa tsa ditšhelete ba e bitsa SDBIP ke budget ya go implementa IDP ya bona. Ha ba qeta ba submita ko province MEC wa e signa off ke lenaneo le le guidang masepala ngwaga ntle le batho. Because batho ke bona ba sentseng ba re rona ha re batle sekolo pele re batla ditsela. Or rona re batle ditsela re batla mabone. Ke ka mokgwa lenaneo leo le sebetsang ka teng. Hobane government ya rona mo South Africa ke government ya batho. So ha batho ba sa ye to the community meeting to discuss IDP lori king sense e tle pele ha eng ka ngwaga mang. Inna le bothata ba go ke di messenger ba tseya or community ring ba isa ko masepala after the planning wa ba botsa hore this is the plan, this is what is going to happen in your ward, at what cost and neng. Bona ba sentse ba tlise ko lona ba re lenaneo la masepala le emiso rona re le ward 6 ka ngwaga wa 2022-2023. This is what is going to happen in our ward. Ya bobedi, government setse e tshaba go implementa di project sa service delivery mo setšhabeng. Setšhaba sa lona sa Sedibeng ga se a farologana le tse dingwe tsa di community tse government setse e tshaba go ya ko tsona. Ba tshaba eng? One, ga government e appointile service provider go na le batho ba bangwe percent ya tšhelete o e tholang mo projecting e. Rona re tla go defend. Go tle ba bang ba rona re business forum re fe 30% ya project e. That's why in some of the projects le krea gore the project contractors ba tshabile bo rapopota ba ba phelang ba ba sokodisa gore ba berekele setšhaba go subcontractor gore a rona re le batho ba South Africa ke corrupt officials, ke di corrupt politicians, ke corrupt community members who keep quiet and look away when people are doing wrong things. He rona re ka se emelle ka maoto ra re enough is enough. Tla RDP house una le bana ba go agetse uri mara nna ne ka since ke qualify a re ikreng o batla go irang go kra regli mmuso o rile re fa ba ba tlhokang wena ha o setse o na le ngwana tshwana le nna a o rekela grocery a o patella society a o tlhokomela o hiretse le motho o tlhokomelang o sa isa kae RDP house goreng o sa re mphumule mmuso se ka nkenya mo ha ke sa le maemong ao ke maemong a mangwe e fa bana ba modimo ba ba sokola so corruption ha se di officially fela le di politicians tsa o tshwana le nna fela le lona le batho le corrupt la thola because ya le benefit ba go hiretseng di subcontractor community kae basadi ba kae youth kae di gole di kae di tle di tlo thola sengonyana iska ba wena ka re wena o chomi ya councilor iska ba wena ka wena rapopota mo hodin le councilor ya go tshaba akere so those are the challenges we are faced with and in here tla mo di platform tse di tshwanang netse re iketsa o ka re ha re tsebe nnete henka tla di hodin tsa lona ba bang ba lona ba ba leng mo girlfriend tsa lona di feta list di kra matlo a di RDP house but we need to start fighting together for the right thing because how do men la bohiri because ba go benefit let me tell you iba cancer di tsotsi malabona ga tlale wa ba feeder today wa ba fa tomorrow ba tlo bola wena because ba tlo ja letsogo leo ba fangle because bana hana hore ko letsogo le litlisang 50 better off because you stay in security estates your kids are going to schools where there's security but for the mere fact that you are stealing from us the poor one day is one day those kids that you think wabasebeletsa will not be able to go to a cinema will not be able to study nanlisuwa o kholela mo strate go na le surage gwang criminally o tloetsa o wa hao bophelo ba hae mare re batla utlwa le di solutions go na le ba bang ba lona ba suggest gore o dule 25 years in a house o phelo batlana le transfer ga gona gore a wa mara mo wa e gwetsa galang ka project e sa le batho ba kena dintlu ha di mo maineng a bona re kire ntla le thitwa gore problems so we'll help you push where we must where there's corruption and you are all some of you are involved let us tell you be it in the department or in the political cycles. So that's what we are doing and that's our role as a portfolio committee. We are refusing to tell us who are these people. So that's why it's difficult to take people to jail. Baba Mbalona, we're making allegations here. I want to follow up and say to the CFO, allegation. Mara, let me tell you, only one public statements, follow up, you don't want to. Le reta o kare, re batho ba go rata go bua maaka fela gore re tike box re tswe re tsamaye. So we don't want to do that. The issues of Oliven are very old. I said we must start thinking outside. And a little community stop. You don't want to be verified because what benefit RDP we feel like Limpopo government. But because they know the truth, once they 30 people who genuinely need RDP houses, then they make you to believe for injury type of Oliven community sensory wo. Wena rapopot, wena mapopot, emanyana, aribitsemba tuba, ribo utlo go bothata keng, why are they unable to resolve our challenges? So I'm not going to say to the department, answer questions that are asked here. I'm going to say, can we partner in resolving our challenges? Rona really community, we want partnership, we are tired. La tsebo bo masetekete bana le di RDP tse 10 ke lona le reng yalo mara here tla re who must qualify for those houses. Let me tell you, the youth going to fight that people who had houses in 1999 a gona ba 94 ke kopa le tlohele re botse gore lona le apply ka 1994 ne se yo policy 94 Kare system ifta in informal settlements. We understand your plight. We know it mean get an RDP house before an old mother, an old father who applied in 1999, 2000 and 2001. We here, Gaba Committee, this is what we agreed. Bare tlotla mmago le rrago gore malatsi a go a ireng a oketsege mo lefatsheng. So we are pleading with you gore instead of fighting for yourselves, fight for these parents who cannot fight, who today are sitting here ba tshwere ke di ramatiki le go bolela batho bona ba kgoni. They are from a school of thought ya gore we must respect. We must just hear them. When are they going to give reprimands? We must fight for them and stop fighting for ourselves. Rona, we must fight for economic opportunity. Parents don't have them. So I want to plead with it. The last thing, it's not true that you'll apply for the house today and you'll get it tomorrow. And this is the plea that we always, if we apply le mabani, you won't get it. We are going to prioritize and make sure that those who apply that vote for you in some branch of EFF or of the ANC. But for all of us who are in that community, fight our battles. Prioritize us, the vulnerable, who require housing and protection. So we want, let's get into a partnership. It can't be that we are afraid to come deliver. La ditsiba di tsotsi lona, le dula le tsona. Ke bana ba lona, but this step development. Because re tshaba botsotsi. Ba ba thunyang di officials tsa government tse di berekang without jojo. So those are the challenges we are faced with. We are going to come back to Ratanda project. I think it's the one that we in the downstairs unit. We are going to, through our CoGTA role, make sure that and Tata Ainfulen has a gov partner. Tsotsi ki tsotsi re sentse re botsa re tsotsi o ya tronkong or rona ra o feleletsa mo. La di tsiba di tsotsi tse. Force mo. Ha sentse go appointwe service provider mo. Ha ona e batlang go bereka mo. Le bana ba lona ba ba dulang mo ba di engineers ba tshaba botsotsi. So ke mathata ra le baneng le ona nne ke bana ba bona ba le ke le ka botsa bo rakereke faith based organization le di khosi tsa lona mo dinduna gore you can't sit back when corruption happens because batho ba ke ba lona bana ba ke ba lona. So we need to all work together. So we are going to come back for specific projects and then we'll go and do over just to verify some of the things that you have raised here. Second issue, the department, these are the things you must take back. All installation of geysers and all these things, we want faces of those companies because the problem he or she doesn't finish mara o tswela dikolo mo di mamatamo and then if you are spetlele ya ga spetlele ha fetsa ifilwe library hey motho connected. So we must follow that person who connected to man and investigating them. Those of you with information, please help us. So we investigate among young, Ward 6. So we are just saying, help us deal with this corruption. RDP is not for sale. Service stand is not for sale. We already advert local government and housing department in Gauteng. We don't have that department in Gauteng. Stop buying from those people. The officially ne di le teng ra di tseba ke bo Sipho le bo ke di bone Ko Gauteng re na le department ya CoGTA and human settlement. Advert ya bona o tlo e bona hantle. Email address ya teng e tlo ba le .gov.za, not .co.za. Then o botsa 70,000 o e fa motho. Linka ka 70,000 rona le mo listing ya rona ya di RDP. Hora re lona le na le tšhelete mos. Le ipatlela stene ya go ikagega. So le fetsa le reka di RDP ka 70,000. Elo being sold by government. So that batho ba ba qualifyang ba kgone go benefit. I don't know if the department wants to respond to specific issues, and then if not, we are going to segment the issues. Ratana, Heidelberg, I think we've been there for oversight. We just need to follow up and ensure that we give feedback. The team also has your attendance register. The 20 issue of Oliven, we have now elevated it, and thanks to those who were on the matter in partnership with yourselves to make sure that at least we get somewhere. If we, so that community can move on, so the community can know, councillors can know what to say to the people. Emfuleni, we said is your special thing immediately. Don't allow people to occupy that land again. So thank you very much. We are going to follow up. We are going to have back again to this very good venue to finalize, to give you feedback